All right, let's go then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the Evolve to Thrive podcast. Now, today I am joined with Mr. Dean, the host of the D&M's podcast, and also the founder of The Nest in Burleigh. So today we're going to be talking all things relationships, dating. I'm getting the man's perspective in here on dating. We have not had a dating episode in a while, so let's bring him in. Hello, Dean.
How are we doing?
I'm doing great.
I find it funny as well that we're doing an episode like based around dating, and I actually can't maintain a relationship. So we're going to put full disclosure out there, that I feel like I've learned a lot through failed relationships, like most of us do.
Yep.
But also, it's funny talking about it. And I feel like a lot of stuff I'm saying is correct, but it's actually putting that to practice and finding the right person, which is a tricky thing as well. But yeah, it's fun.
Look, you and I both in the sense of failing relationships. So, take it, words of wisdom. This is going to be the little lessons and nuggets that both of us, I would say, have taken away from our past relationships, but also for a little bit of a laugh and all obviously to get the male perspective on, because I've had a couple of guys on that are my friends that we do talk about relationships and dating, and the girls, the audience listening, love hearing the male perspective. But I think before we do get into that, I obviously want you to tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do. Who the fuck are you?
Who am I? Dean Lucas, 29 years of age. I was actually, most people would probably know me for being a professional athlete for most of my life. I used to race mountain bikes professionally in Australia, in Europe, in America, Canada, all of that. So that's where I guess I got a bit of a following through that and created my identity around that. And got to a point where I was like, this doesn't fulfill me anymore. I feel like we all have different purposes in our lives, and it's being okay with having a purpose, following that for a certain amount of time, realizing that, okay, this was something that fulfilled me, gave me purpose, gave me direction, gave me friends, community, all of that. And then being okay to let go of all of that to a certain extent and do something new. Like once you realize that something doesn't fulfill you, something doesn't give you purpose anymore, and something doesn't excite you, then it's like, all right, that part's done, on to the next. And that's kind of what I've done now, and I've transitioned out of mountain biking and racing.
What was that moment for you where you realized that mountain bike riding was no longer serving you, or you lost your purpose with it?
I had it for a little bit when I was training back home. I slowly was just, I wasn't like, I want to go riding, I want to go training, I lost that fire to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of lingering around in me that I wanted to do something different, and I wasn't fulfilling me like it used to. And then I was actually to race in Austria, and it was in my qualifying run, and it just started raining just before my qualifying run. So it'd been dry all week, and just before my run, it started pissing down rain. And the emotions and like anxiousness that gets put in your body in that situation is pretty ridiculous. And I started my run, it was all going well, and then I ended up having this massive crash on this like gravel kind of road, and I like gravel rashed half the side of my body. I was just in like immense pain. And I remember getting to the bottom of the hill, and I was in a lot of pain, but I just remember like getting back to my pits, and I just like burst out in tears, because I knew that it was like, that was the moment that I knew this was over. That I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm done with this. I knew in that moment that, and a friend of mine actually saw me, like a teammate of mine saw me, and he just said, you look like you were done. And I was like, I was.
Yeah.
And that's when I made like, not in that moment, but I knew in that moment. And then I ended up retiring like 3 months after that. Was before.
It's interesting you say that, because I remember I used to be like a state level swimmer. Like this was when I was younger, when I did sport. And it's interesting how you go through the motions of doing something for so long that you almost feel like, yep, that's my purpose. But until you take a step away and go, I'm not enjoying this anymore, I don't feel like this feels right, or, you have a pivotal moment that you have that wake up call and realize, they're not for me anymore, that you then go, yeah, that's it, I'm done, and then you just stop. But then did you feel like once you had stopped, is that when you felt like almost you had lost your purpose and then you didn't know what to do from there? Or did you know there was something next to come?
I think it's still when you're doing something like that, like when you're competing or I was competing, it's still your purpose at the time. And I don't think life, you go through and have different purposes that you have to play the role of. And I knew a couple of years around the COVID time when I kind of went into a forced retirement.
Yep.
And I realized like helping others and inspiring others and pushing myself and inspiring people through actions and words was like, oh, this gets me going. This makes me feel the best I can possibly feel. So I think I looked at more fulfillment being within that. So then I kind of knew coming out of racing that I wanted to go down that path. So I've kind of had a bit of a mind map of where I wanted to go, but still like your identity gets so wrapped up into what you do and you can get lost in that. And a lot of people when they retire from sports, or you hear about Olympians years after or directly after, spiraling out of control because their identity is I'm a swimmer, I'm a mountain biker, I'm a fitness model, I'm all these things. And it's like, no, that's what you do. Who you are is completely different. And once you figure out, okay, I'm a genuine person, I'm a caring person, I'm a giver, I'm compassionate, I'm all these things, like that's who you are. And you can't just lose those things. Like you can maybe diminish in some areas, but like if you're a caring person, you're a caring person.
Yep.
Now it doesn't matter if you're a swimmer and a caring person. Like how would you rather? Because it's like how would you rather be described from someone? It's like if someone said, "This is Dean, he's a mountain biker." I'm like, who do you think I am?
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of a broad way of describing someone where if you go, "Hey, this is Dean. He's a really caring person that loves his family and he's always helping people." I'm like, describe me like that. That's way better way to get to know someone.
I love that because so many people do get caught up in like a label of their job as the way that people introduce them as well, right? Which is a great segue into what I always do every time I get someone on the podcast. I ask them to describe how their friends would describe them in 4 words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you how you would describe yourself in 4 words versus how you think your friends would describe you in 4 words.
Does what he says.
Yep.
That's how I describe myself.
Oh, in 4 words. Okay, cool. Yeah. What about
that work? Oh, you want different words?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, no, that works. That works. So you do what you say. So you're integral to, you have like strong integrity. Like when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it.
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm normally going to do it.
You're going to follow through.
It's funny because I don't say something unless I've got put a lot of thought into it. It's like kind of like the iceberg analogy. You see the little tip of it, but there's so much that has gone on under the water that you don't see. So if I say something, I've put weeks, months, years of thought into that before I've actually put it out there because it's a massive, I'm going to say ick. Even though I kind of hate the word ick. Ick of mine is when someone just keeps talking about shit they want to do.
Oh.
And it's like, shut up and do it,
Just
man.
do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Because every time you say you're going to do something, you get a little dopamine hit because you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. And it's all bullshit, man. It's all this like facade and fantasy of something that isn't real where I have things where I'll say something and then literally the next day I'll do it and people are like, oh my God, like for example,
it builds confidence as well. The more that you can say that you're going to do something and you follow through with the promises that you keep to yourself as well, I find.
Your word means something then. And this is an example. This is just a random example, but I was back in Victoria with one of my friends and we were building mountain bike trails and I was just talking to him. I was like, I think I'm going to get a cat. And it just out of nowhere, completely out of the blue, never mentioned anything.
You bought a cat the next day.
Yeah, never mentioned anything about it. And then the next day I just put a thing up on my story. I just got this kitten from a rescue house at home. And he just replies, he's like, you do what you say. And I was like, why else would you say shit if you didn't mean it? So I'm really strong on that. If I say something, it's putting it out there to the world. And
you hold yourself to it, I think, as well.
100%.
I find that, especially even an example for me, with competing. It's like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, if I put this on my social media that I'm doing it, I have to do it. So it's like, I also put things out in, like I say it out loud to then hold myself to it and do it as well, because I think that's really important. There is nothing worse than those people that just, always say they're going to do something and never do it. Because you just get sick of hearing about it too, or people that complain about the same thing over and over again, and then they just never change their circumstance or their situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when someone asks you for advice, you give them advice and they go and do the complete opposite and then ask you for advice again. You're like,
Why do I bother?
yeah, well, I'm sick of telling you what I think you should do because I know you don't listen and you go and do what you want anyway. So now you're just wasting my time and your time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take my advice, but stop coming and complaining about the same situation you're in where I've given you a roadmap to get out of it. You don't listen to it. You go do the same thing again, then come back and complain. It's like there's got to be like a circuit breaker here where you realize, hey, there's maybe I should either listen or shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because like I've been in this is the worst for me is when you know you're in a toxic relationship and you don't even talk to your friends about it because you know that you should get out of it and you know their advice is valid and right, but you don't even talk. That's the worst part, when you stop even talking about it because you know, like, I don't want to annoy them with my shit because I know what they're going to tell me and I know I need to listen, but I'm not doing it.
This is perfect segue into what we're going to talk about today, because I feel like I've had a number of friends that have done this. I've been that person too, without a doubt. But if you cannot openly discuss your relationship with your friends, then you know instantly already.
Get out.
Get out. What so this has been you before? Or on both sides, where you've been the person in a toxic relationship and you're hesitant to tell your friends about certain things because you know what they're going to tell you, versus your friend is in a toxic relationship and they're not telling you things. Have you been on both sides?
Yeah, I've been
of
in
the
both
spectrum?
sides for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I know I've even been in a toxic relationship where my friends are telling me I need to get out for the reasons that are very valid, and I'll just agree with them. And they're like, you need to get out. She's this, she's that, she's all this. And this was like when I was a lot younger. And I just agree with them because they were 100% spot on. She's treating you like this. She's doing this. I know. And then like the fat kid that can't stop eating cake, I just go back and eat more cake. And it's just like that's the worst, is when you're going against your gut instinct and your values and all these things. But something feels nice, something feels comforting, someone could change, which is a load of bullshit. Like, you need to change and remove yourself.
From a guy's perspective, what would be some common toxic traits in a toxic relationship? Or from the way that you described you being in a toxic relationship, what were some of the qualities that this person or this individual had that made it toxic? Like, why was this particular relationship that you're in the past toxic?
One thing I would say as well with like the whole what girls do that are toxic and what guys do with it toxic, it's like each person can create their own monster in another person. And
Correct.
It's like, it's not always this, it's never a one-sided thing. I'm going to put that out there straight
I
away.
agree.
It is two-sided.
Yeah.
And we will unconsciously and consciously gaslight, start spot fires, start issues, drop things, have little snark comments so you get remarks so then you can jump. Like, it goes both ways so much of the time. And I hate when you see people like, she did this and she did that. I'm like, what were you doing to create that person? And what were you saying to make her reply in that way? And it's like, it's never one side. Obviously, there's cases where someone can be narcissistic and just a bitch or a dick. Like, that is fully valid. But most times, rather than not, it's a combination of you.
It's the actual relationship itself. So what are some of the things that both people do that make things toxic in that regard? So, for example, you mentioned how this person may have like made this person into a monster, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I resonate with this because in a relationship that I was in the past, I felt like I turned into being a psychopath. And I look in hindsight and go, I don't think I'm actually a psychopath. Like, no psychopath thinks they're a psychopath. But like,
just murder people. Don't worry, it's fine. It's normal. They had it coming.
I genuinely feel like I'm pretty relaxed in a relationship. Like, I don't care what people do. Like, I feel like if there's that level of trust, if you trust your partner, like, these toxic qualities don't come about. These toxic qualities come about when trust is broken, or like So
do you want? I'll straight up put out probably my biggest red flag that I'll be vulnerable and honest about. So, and I see this in myself, and I know it's something I need to work on. But what I will do, and I've always done it, and it does make the other person pull away, is I'll start seeing someone, and it will start to go well. And at the start, when it's going well and it's casual and it's cruisy, you're not really invested. You kind of see each other now and again. You kind of text now and again. It's very, very casual and it's easy. And then I start to build a narrative in my head of the direction I can see it going. And then I build up this expectation on it. And then I build up this pressure on it. And then because of that, I create a narrative in my head of where I think it can go or where it could go. And then I suddenly turn something that isn't anything yet into something bigger in my mind. And because of that, I change my actions to just say it doesn't, again, it's like making a plan that then doesn't follow the plan. So then you get emotionally over-invested in something too early. So then if something goes wrong, whether you can't see the person or they have a remark or they're not interested in doing something, I'm too emotionally invested in that. So then I have a negative reaction from that. And then you'll have like snide comments, you'll say stuff that is just a bit like, oh, wait, what was that? And all of this in turn will make the person act differently because you're acting differently.
Yeah.
It's like you're pushing back, so then they pull away. And then when someone pulls away, I chase. And then when you're chasing, it's never this healthy thing. And I've done that more times than not. And it's trying to, like the thing I know now, and well, I've always known, but it's actually acting upon, because like saying it's great, but it's actually acting upon the things you know you should do. It's like put energy into yourself and focus on yourself. And this is going to be quite honest, but it's like in the past when you are seeing multiple people casually, it sounds bad, but those relationships normally actually go easier and it's nicer because you're not putting all this emotional energy into one person. It's kind of spread out. So you're not so invested in one thing. So if someone bails on you or something comes up, you're like, oh, that's fine, because you're not invested in it.
It's so true.
And you can go and see someone else and it's like all good. Where when you put all your eggs into one basket and you show over interest in one person, no matter which way that's coming, whether it's a guy to a girl or girl to a guy, it's overwhelming, especially at the start. And you feel like you're smothering someone and putting this, like over interest is a real thing. And when you are over interested and you don't get back what you perceive you need, then you can become suddenly like spiteful and angry and annoyed at that person, and that expectation comes out. And I'm trying to work out now how to obviously be seeing, because I just want to see one person. I'd rather build a relationship with someone and have that core connection with someone, not multiple people. I don't think that's healthy and sustainable, but how you see one person and all that extra energy you have to give out is put directly back into yourself and not that other person. And if they're busy or they're doing their life, you don't make them feel bad for living their life because you want to complement it, not take it over.
Massive thing on that too is I've noticed since doing more focus on myself, things will come your way as well when the less you focus on it, right? It's funny because I haven't dated for like four months, 6 months. Like it feels like ages, right? And since being on my own, focusing on me and completely taking a break from dating, I've had this wake up call where I'm like, now I know what I want. And I feel like, especially when it comes to casual dating, you're right. When you're just casually dating multiple people without that attachment, you don't care. But I, in the past, have also fallen into this where I start seeing someone and I do get more emotionally invested. And then because you are more emotionally invested into that one person, you are more triggered when they bail on your plans, or if you, like it does provoke more of an emotion.
Because you care.
Which is a reflection back to you, and you're like, oh, fuck, like, how am I responding to this? Like it's making me feel upset, or it's making me feel this. And you do almost act out in a way, and then you have to take a moment to go, oh, do I actually mean that? Or you know what I mean?
It's your inner child coming out.
It's
me being a little boy.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to play with you. I wanted to do stuff with you. Me. It's like, grow the fuck up. Like literally, it's like, oh, you're busy. Okay, sweet. I'm going to go do me.
Because you overanalyze too when you're more emotionally invested.
Man.
Because
so much.
Like, because it's true, right? If that person was back, if you rewind it back to when you were first seeing each other, if they bailed on your plans because they had something else on, you're like, yeah, cool, no worries. But then like you fast forward to when you're like deeper involved into that connection. And then instantly when, like, if they bail on your plans, you overanalyze and go, what have I done? Like,
you make up this story. Did she actually just not want to see me? Is she like serious? And all these, and everything suddenly has meaning to it. Where if it was someone that you weren't emotionally invested in, you just literally
don't
don't
care.
care. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You go live your life. You go to the gym. You go for a swim. And then they see that like, oh, he's doing him, and then that's the attractive trait. Like you want to be, especially at the beginning of a relationship, like mysterious. You want to be like, oh, is he interested? Is she interested? Like everyone talks about this idea of like, oh, if it's the right person, there's no chase. I'm like, the chase is fun if it's done the right way. If it's done in a healthy way, it's not done in a like you're trying to play games, but there should be a bit of like mystery behind, is this person interested, are they not? When we see each other, it creates an emotion, it creates feeling, excitement, it's all these things. Like don't lose that. Like I don't think that you don't want to lose that and just meet someone and like I don't think you want to meet someone and be like, I love you, it's just on straight away. Like that takes out so much of the excitement in building a relationship. And I've been on the flip side of what I've been talking about, where someone overshows interest straight away. And no matter who it is, no matter how attractive you are to them, no matter how the connection is, it's just a little off-putting. And it's just, it is what it is. And I've felt that. So when you come from a place of knowing exactly how you're showing up and then seeing other people show up to you and going, oh, I did the thing that I don't like doing to the person. So I get it.
It all comes down to it. It's like all these little things that we nitpick when it comes to dating in general. Because the general thing is everyone says, oh, you know, dating in this day and age is so hard. And it's like, what do you think makes it hard? Do you think it's that people aren't honest when it comes to going on a date? Or like, do you feel like you need to be more transparent from the start? Would you rather be more like, do you know what I mean? It comes back to what you said before, or when we started talking, when I walked in today and we had a little chat, you brought up how we put these narratives in our head. Like for example, if you went and caught up with someone randomly, like if you and I were just like, after this podcast, let's go get a drink or let's go catch up, without this idea of it being a date, right? It would all go well. It would be fine. You just hang out as friends and nothing is to come of it. You're probably going to have a way better time than if you put this idea in your head, like I'm going on a first date and then I'm starting to go, oh, well, I need to act this way. I need to show up this way because it's a first date. And then you're questioning everything that you're doing. What's your thoughts on that? I want you to elaborate on that.
I think it's because when you go to see someone as a friend or just an interaction that isn't based around we're going on a date or this is going to be possibly a romantic future, you act your true self. And then the other person's probably going to act their true self because they're going to reflect what you're doing. And you're not doing it in a way where you have to like close off and play this like this different character. And then if they like who you are, they like who you are. And it just cuts a lot of that bullshit out.
Yeah.
And I think coming back on that, a lot of people get confused with what's chemistry and what's connection. Now, chemistry is like sex, kissing, passion, excitement. And then connection is actually like, do we line up in each other's lives? Do we fit into each other's lives? Does your job align with my job? Does your friends align with my friends? Do you like animal? Like it's all this deeper stuff that does our family, does everything work? Do you even live in the same spot? Like all that is connection. And like, do our lives connect together well? And it's like, you could have the best sex, the best chemistry, just passionate love for someone, but no actual connection.
But know that it doesn't actually align.
It doesn't align and there's no connection. I think so many people, myself included, you get lost in chemistry and you don't actually look at connection and go, well, are you my person? Are you my right person? Is this going to work? And that's a big thing that I think a lot of people, including myself, get muddled up and have to, because it's a gray area, because you feel connected, you feel love, you feel these things, but you look a bit deeper and you go, actually.
And you're blinded. I think that most people, when this is me, I get stigmatized, right? I have had a number of episodes where we've spoken about being stigmatized, right? So when you're stigmatized, basically like the sexual chemistry is that good that you're completely blindsided by everything else going on. So it's like you're having like these deep, like you feel like it's deep connection because it's like the sexual intimacy and stuff that you're having. And then so because you're so caught up on that, you're you've got like rose colored glasses on where you're like completely ignoring all the fucking red flags and stuff going on, or not paying attention to, okay, how would this go in an actual relationship? Is this actually aligned to what a good relationship would be? Will it actually work with this person? So I've fallen into that a number of times. But the question I have for you is, what do you think is most important? Like for you, what's more important, the connection or the chemistry?
Connection for sure. For
Yeah.
like to build a relationship, you need connection, and there's obviously going to be, if you're going to actually build a relationship with someone, there's going to be chemistry, but it might not be as passionate as what you've had with someone in the past. But we're all so different.
Yeah.
And everyone, this is another thing now with dating apps, with just general being able to connect with people online or wherever you may be, gyms, whatever it is. Like, it's easy to meet people. It's easy to connect with people. And you'll meet someone that you have great chemistry with. And then you're like, well, this is the level of chemistry I want now because I've felt that before in this person. But then you meet someone else and like, oh, but the connection was better here. So now I want this level of connection. And we're constantly trying to build this perfect person through all these different interactions of people we meet, because we can meet so many. It's like the perfect person doesn't exist. So you need to find someone and build with them those different things that you want in a relationship, whether it's intimacy, love, connection, chemistry, like that's built. You might get a lot from one person, but you're not going to get the whole package unless you actually be with that person and build it together. And I think so many of us think we're going to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right and just be like, oh my God, you do every single thing I want perfectly. That's just not going to happen. That's a fantasy. It's bullshit.
And that's where I've gone wrong in the past with that too, because you've got this like checklist in your head of like, I want them to be this, 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 this. And then you'll meet someone like that and go, fuck, they quote unquote tick all the boxes. But then and then when that doesn't work out, then you're like, what the fuck? And then I know that I fall into this trap where I, in the past, thought, oh, you know, like I'm attracting certain people into my life. And obviously we know that the person that you're attracting into your life is a true reflection of who you are, right? So if I was not, before like doing some inner work on myself and realizing what kind of things I did poorly in past relationships, it's like, you know, when you do start doing that work on yourself and then start meeting people that do kind of tick the boxes of who you want to be with, when that doesn't work out, then you're instantly let down as well. And then you're trying to build that perfect person in your head. And then you start going, well, yeah, you're right. No perfect person exists. But then a lot of people are still trying to find that perfect person. So what advice do you have for people that are single now? There's a lot of options with the dating apps. I feel like there's just too many options, and, you know, it's very easy for you to, if it doesn't work out with one, you just move on to the next kind of thing. Do you find that like that's just a really common issue?
I don't even think it's as far as going like move on to the next. Is like you send someone a message and they reply, send someone else. Like I've deleted all my dating apps now. I just don't think that's where you're going to find real love.
I agree.
Yeah, you can. You find love anywhere, but I think the best way for you to find love is to do something that you really enjoy doing, whether it's going to the gym, doing some kind of sport, playing an instrument, doing whatever, and putting energy and passion into that. And then normally someone will see you doing that is also interested in it, and then that's how you're going to create some kind of relationship. But just to go back on the thing before about the positives in a person, like I truly think for someone to create like real love and connection, it's more important to look at the flaws that the person has, like their insecurities, their issues, their traumas and all that, and deal with that and be okay with that and help that person work through that. Like once you do that and figure that out, then like the positives are nice, but that's not going to determine whether the relationship continues. It's the negatives in the relationship that you need to actually dive into head first without throwing negativity back, because we've all got trauma, we've all got issues, and it's like trying to be curious and understand why a person ticks and why they do react the way they do. Because like I've been in relationships or been seeing someone where I'll do something and they'll react to it in a negative way, and I don't even understand because I'm not them. And it's not until you question it and don't come at it as like, you said this, it made me feel bad, so fuck you, and throw an anger back. But you go like, why did you say
question
that
it
thing?
and have a bit more compassion as opposed to...
Yeah, because it's like, for example, the other day, like something came up and this person reacted in a way that was like kind of like attacking. And I was like, why did you do that? And they're like, I don't know. They didn't know. And then we kind of talked about it, and it was just like a past trauma or past issue that they had in a relationship. But I could have easily just bit back, and then you've got this negativity, fighting negativity that's going to go nowhere. But like we all consciously and unconsciously carry with us trauma from past relationships, family, whatever it may be, on how we've become who we are today. So you want to find someone that helps you understand yourself better and isn't just like a shiny thing that makes you feel good because they give you love and affection, but actually helps you see you better. And I think that's one of the biggest things in a relationship that I look for is someone that makes me question myself on a deeper level to help me understand myself better, because we're all just learning as we go.
What have you learnt about yourself from all the relationships that you've had? And because obviously I feel like you get more depth to you the more that you date, the more relationships you have, the more situationships you have. Every time you walk away from a relationship, you obviously learn about yourself, right? And I feel like you're someone who's definitely matured a lot from when you were younger in relationships and how you've reacted and responded to conflicts. What have you learnt about yourself?
No one else is going to love you until you love yourself properly. And I've gone into things where I'm using women as a dopamine hit to make me feel good, where I'm not actually putting in any of the effort or the work into doing the things that make me and make me happy. And because of that, girls will see straight through that shit. And they're like, and a lot of the time it comes from, like, when I said I meet someone, I stop filling up my cup and start trying to fill their cup up. Like, I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. I get a lot of happiness and fulfillment out of seeing someone else happy, especially if it's like my person.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I lose sight of my passion, my goals, my inner work, my things that fill me up, and I put it all into someone else. And they don't want that. Like, girls say they want all of this affection and care and love, and I know they do want that to a degree, but they also want their man to fucking love himself and look after himself and be desirable for them. And as soon as you start to just slow down on working on you and start putting it into them, they don't want that. They want you to put into you. They want you to have a passion. They want you to have a goal, and they want you to go after it with everything you've got. And they want to see you chasing that. And they want to be with someone that's like excited about their goal in their life. And then obviously you're going to be excited about them as well. But they want that masculine man to go, I want to take this thing and I'm going to. And they want to get behind you and help you get that thing.
I'm so on board with that. I feel like when I look at a guy and I go, all right, this is the kind of person that I want to date, because it's like you want them to be able to have their own goal and their own. Because I think when it comes to a relationship, right, you mentioned at the start before, you want to be with someone that like you come together, you complement each other. I can't remember if we spoke about this on the podcast or off the podcast, but it's like you don't want it to be a side where they're more invested than you are.
You don't want a fan.
No. And you don't want them to be dependent on you either, because then that causes problems. So it's almost like you both need to have your own separate lives, your own goals, your own ambitions and things that you're striving towards, and then you build something great together in terms of like who you are as a person kind of thing. And then like you celebrate the wins and everything together. But like, I guess a question that I do have is, what do you feel like matter? Hang on, let me think about this. Where you're at now, you've been seeing somebody, and you feel like you're learning more and more about this inner childhood stuff that's coming up. What's something that you are figuring out for yourself now?
Figuring out, I guess it comes back. I figured out a while ago. It's just figuring out how to put it into action. But it comes back to all just doing stuff for myself. And like you said, the right people will come into your life when you start just working on you. It always happens. It always has. As soon as I start doing stuff like purely for myself, people have always come into my life. It's just always happened. As soon as I start living to my values, as soon as I start doing the things that fill me up, whether that be in a job, in a sport, in a personal fitness, like whatever it may be, if I'm just living to my values and doing me, someone always pops up and sees it and goes, I want to be a part of that. Like, you become magnetic through what you do. So it's just actioning that, and also not getting so caught up when someone does come into my life and they are amazing and interesting and beautiful and all these things, not getting over invested into it too early, because you always hear of like girls that have daddy issues. Like, I definitely have mum issues, in the sense that my mum was super loving and super caring and super affectionate, and we had an amazing relationship. But within doing that, it's made me put women on a pedestal, which I don't think is a bad thing. But if you put a girl on a pedestal on the third, fourth, fifth date, they don't want to be in a pedestal. they want mystery within this.
They get bored.
They get bored. Yeah, it's like oh, I've got him.
Yeah.
So then they check out.
This is true, and
But
this
vice versa, I do the same thing. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, because it's this weird thing where we want to be chased, right? And then it's like as soon as we are, then you're right. As soon as they run away, you want them back. But then when they're there, you're like, oh yeah, they're there, whatever, like happy days, and then you use it to your advantage. Then as soon as they leave, you're like, fuck. And so I feel like that constantly comes up.
Well, how often would you be talking to someone and you'll be like, I'm into them, like it's fun, I like them, but I don't know if it's it, maybe we should end it. And then they'll go, oh, I think we should end it. And you're like, no, come back.
Exactly.
Oh my God. And
exactly.
You're like, motherfucker, you were just contemplating doing the same thing. And it's just the fact that they pulled the trigger before you that now you're suddenly invested, because it comes back to rejection and like not being good enough. And it's not the fact that you want that person. It's just you wanted to be picked by them. You wanted to be desired by them. You wanted to be all these things. And it's like, again, inner child thing where you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. I'm not all this shit. When you're like, no, go do you. Go work on you.
Let's talk about rejection, because I want to talk about rejection because I used to be triggered really hard by rejection, and I'm going to bring this up because I'm going to get the male perspective on this too. There's been a lot of situations in the past where I have not responded. I used to respond really bad to rejection. So that inner child would come out to me I would be really triggered by it. And I don't know what it was, but as soon as it got, like, I would date someone for about 3 months. This is going back probably a couple years ago. I've been single for like 5-6 years now, I reckon. So I've been in 2 long-term relationships. Then I was, since that last one, been single for, 5-6 years now. And so I've had a lot of situationships. And it doesn't proceed past, like, I would say the 3-month mark, right? And every time a situationship would end, it would be either because things were going great before before something was to lead to something a little bit more deeply, right? So I don't know what it is, but whenever I think a lot of guys love that phase of the situationship where it's like, it's just great because they've got no attachment. They've got no, again, we can talk about the whole label thing and then how that dynamic changes everything. Because then as soon as you go from just casually sleeping with someone to being like, okay, well, like, we're doing things where it's like we're clearly dating, like we're clearly exclusive, you're not with anyone else. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, what next? Like, do you feel like that pressure then sends people to run away?
Somewhat, yeah. Labels definitely change how people view things because, again, it comes back with now there's an expectation on how much I show up, what I do. It's like, hey, do you want to come away from the weekend? Oh, I'm all good. Oh, but you're my girlfriend. Oh, now I've got to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, that goes both ways with guys and girls. And, like, I was seeing a girl earlier in the year and I wanted to date her. I said, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? She said, no, like, I've been enjoying being single and all this, but it was funny that she'd say, like, I've been enjoying being single this year. And I was like, we've been seeing each other for like 7 months. I know you're not seeing anyone else. I'm not seeing anyone else. We call each other multiple times a week. We see each other multiple times a week. Like, you're in a relationship without the label.
You're in a relationship with me, but like you won't put a label on it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was just funny how she'd say, I've been really enjoying being single. I'm like,
but you're not.
You're not single. I'm not single right now. I was like, yeah, our Facebook say we're single, or fucking Instagram doesn't have
the thing.
Your letter in the name. But I was like, this is by all means, we see each other more than people in relationships see each other that I know of. But it's because you don't want to put that label on it because, again, it comes with an expectation of, oh, okay, now I need to show up more. And people are terrified of being put in a situation where they feel like they have to show up to it. And I'm the same. I have friendship issues where I don't go into big groups of people because I feel like as soon as I do that, they expect me to then show up to like events and stuff where I don't like when people expect stuff out of me. I just feel like if I want to go, I'll go. But as soon as you're like, oh, you've got to come to this because it's my birthday or because it's my friend's cousin's wedding or, you know what I mean? They put this stuff on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll go to stuff if I want to go to it, but as soon as you put pressure on me going, I run the other direction. I go, obviously I want to hang out with my friends and I want to do stuff, but as soon as you get put in a situation where if you don't do it, someone's going to make you feel bad, fuck that, I'm out. I don't want that kind of pressure on me. And I just got this recently where a friend's like, you're coming to my birthday, and I'm like, I'm not sure. And then she like had a go at me for not wanting to come to her birthday. I was like, this just makes me want to come less now.
Yeah.
Like this is done. My nan used to do this where she would like make us feel bad for not seeing her, but then she would never put in any effort to see us. And I was like, I'm just not going to come see you because if I see you, you're just going to hassle us for not seeing you more. It's like you're pushing, and that's what happens in relationships where you get guys or girls are like, come and do this with me, come and do that, and then you're like, oh, I can't, and they're like, oh, fuck you then, and they get angry. It's like, you're just pushing that person away more. And it's hard because when you act out of emotion and you get worked up about something because, again, you're invested in it, it's easy to act out of emotion because it's like you feel hurt, so I'm going to hurt them. And it's a tick-for-tack bullshit thing that we all do.
Yeah, I know. And then games is something I'm just not about. Like, I think the more mature you get, the more that you date, you learn obviously as you keep going. I think again, back to the rejection side of things.
Sorry, we kind of skipped over that.
We did skip over that, but it's one of those things where I actually do want to go back to the labels because I think it does change the dynamic, and then it's either one. You're either going to it ends or you end up dating, right? In any case, it's eventually going to end, right? So what I think matters, what do you think matters more, being very transparent from earlier or like letting it drag out? So
transparent from the start.
I
have hard conversations early.
Yep.
And before too much emotion gets invested into it, and know whether you're compatible or not. Like recently I just went on a couple of dates and I was honestly just way more straight up than I used to be.
That's what I've started doing too.
With where I'm at. And I guess it's when you're getting older, you don't want to waste time. You're like, I want this and I would need this and I like this. And like, don't just sit down and go bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
bang,
no.
But you like obviously like mix it into the conversation and like things will come up and then you'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm actually like, I'd love to have kids one day. I think it'd be epic. Like I've got a little niece and she's amazing. Like stuff like that. You'd just be chatting about.
Just loosely drop
it there. And then you're going to get a reaction. It's like, oh yeah, I love kids as well. And then like straight away, that's something that you're like, okay, you're kind of in that realm. And it can be with a series of different things that you're into or not into. And pretty quickly, if you're like, oh, I was just on a bender last weekend and I did all these drugs.
You pick up pretty quickly
and
where they're at.
Like, actually, I've never done drugs and I'm really against them. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe you're not my person. So it's like things like that.
Yeah.
It's like have like hard conversations, or not even hard, but conversations that might steer the relationship away from the direction you want to go, but
it's actually better for you in the long run.
You're just not going to waste time.
Yeah.
It's just wasting time. It comes back to the chemistry connection thing. It's like, oh my God, your eyes are amazing, your body's amazing, the chemistry's building, but you actually want to move to New Zealand next year and I don't want to go to New Zealand. So like there's no connection there.
This is a good point. All right, let's talk about some stories. So
here we go.
Let's go. You're going to die. When I was younger, I was sleeping with a guy, I guess for how many years before the conversation got brought up about what the fuck are we doing?
3 years? 5 years?
Yeah. I was sleeping with a guy for 3 years.
Nailed it.
3 fucking years. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'll sleep with you like every couple of weeks. Like it was like 1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah.
And like from the beginning, it was the type of person that this guy was. I was like, never will date you. Like it's strictly like physical, that's fine. But then it did get to the 3-year mark where I'm like, okay, clearly this is a bit more than this now. Like if you're having me over, you cook, like this is a relationship.
Yeah.
You're staying over, like we're hanging out the next day, like
we have a dog together.
I don't think we're just friends with benefits anymore. And so clearly the conversation got brought up. And I was kind of like, look, I don't want to, the way that I framed it was I know that how I feel is reciprocated by you. Like I know that how I feel is definitely a 2-way street. Like it's not one-sided. And then as soon as you have that kind of conversation with someone about, oh, where do you think this is going?
It's almost like a game
Like-
of like who's gonna say that first, and
Like,
whoever says it first like loses.
loses.
Yeah,
Because it's like you have that conversation knowing, all right,
like,
it's
"Oh,
ending.
She's more keen. Oh, she's
Like-
more keen.
like-
Yeah. I'm out now. I'm out now.
It shits me. Anyway, I remember very vividly having this conversation with this guy after he'd stayed over. And again, I may have become a bit spiteful afterwards because he obviously went weird about having that conversation. And I said, look, you know, you're in your 30s. If you're still going to just play this game of just like sleeping around and having someone on the go, but you're never actually going to commit. I think that was his like wake up point that I gave to him. Like, well, if you're never going to commit to someone, you never will. That was basically what I said. And the funny thing is, we stopped talking after that, like just stopped talking. But he then got into another relationship and then he ended up committing to that other girl. And I was like, I was that girl that he made him realize, oh, fuck, like, okay, I need to just wake up and realize I'm ready for commitment. It obviously wasn't with me, but it was with someone else.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And this is the thing. I'm okay with not being that person's like partner. But I'm also now, I have realized, just fucking call it early. Like, don't drag something out for 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
Just call it early. So then I think now this is what I have done is if I'm noticing like, okay, I see a relationship with this person, I could pursue something with this person, I'm just going to have the conversation. Like I used to get caught up in, do I say something? Do I not? Like, I think you can tell if someone wants it or they don't.
What's your intuition? It's like you'd rather say something that's true to you and end something than lie to yourself and keep something going.
Exactly. But even bringing it back to what you said about like there was clearly the connection with the person, but it didn't align because they're moving. Like this also happened to me at the start of the year. So I was seeing someone for 3 months and I was like, wow, I haven't felt like this in a really long time. I would date this person. But then the issue was they were too young. So they hadn't lived their life yet. They hadn't traveled.
What do you mean too young?
Oh, they were pretty young. They were like 24.
Yeah, but
that's fine.
I don't think.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the age thing matters so much as more than like the life experience and how they show up emotionally. And
this is the thing. This guy was so, I would say, very mature for his age. Like had his head screwed on. He was like super ambitious. He had the emotional intelligence, like everything that a girl would want, right? On that level. And I was like, I see like a future with this person. And then I think they just also weren't ready for the commitment. So then it didn't work out. But then they did use the excuse of I'm moving overseas or interstate and I want to do all this. And it's like, and it clearly didn't work out, but then you go, fuck. And then when you keep getting like the same result over and over again, that's when a lot of people will then blame, dating shit, or I don't want to date. Why do I bother? What's your advice to people that keep having failing relationships, even though it's both of us?
Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror. It's like it's failing because of yourself more times than not. And I know, like I've just explained my vulnerability and like what I'm doing that's wrong. I know that. Like I actively, and it's almost worse because I know exactly what I need to do and I keep not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like at what point, because it's like the whole idea of like the pain teacher. It's like how many times do you go through a painful situation before you decide to change it?
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm getting to the point now where I'm sick of feeling the way I'm feeling through going through the same cycle that I've always gone through in relationships. And I'm like, something needs to change. And it's me.
Yeah.
Like I need to change how I show up. I need to change how I put myself out there, and I need to worry and focus on myself.
Yeah.
And to anyone listening to this, like if you go through a really toxic, bad relationship, breakup, whatever it may be, like take the spotlight off the person that you're trying so hard to hold on to, and look at yourself and look at what you can do for yourself to make yourself better. And so you don't go in that situation again. Like you said, this person left you and then got in a relationship. A lot of the time, people that call people out on their shit, it's the best thing you can do for someone. It's like the whole idea, like keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Like your enemies will give you such a real version of who you are because they're not going to hide stuff. They're going to put it all on the table and say, you do this and you do that and this was messed up and this is bad and you're hurting people like this. And if the person's actually listening, they'll take that advice on and go, hey, I don't want to be that person again. And then the next person they find will hopefully be their person. Like I've had 4 or 5 girlfriends. The person they met after me, they have now either married and have kids with.
The same fucking thing has happened to me.
It's like the good luck Chuck method.
That's what I've said.
And
that's me.
And I talked to a friend about it, and they're like, "Oh, you're a healer. Like, you help heal people." I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well, you obviously help them see the thing within them that they weren't seeing, because either people would just ghost them or not actually have the emotional intelligence to sit down with them and go, hey, like, this isn't working, but this isn't working because of, like, it is a both ways in a way, but also you're doing these things that I can't, like, I don't want to be with someone that does these things." But don't just ghost them. Like, if you're gonna leave someone, like, explain why. Don't people are so caught up on not hurting people's feelings that instead of telling them, hey, you do this and it really pisses me off, or you do that and it just makes me feel a certain way, like, say that to the person, then they might actually go, oh, I never knew that. Yeah. Now I know that, and now going into my next relationship, I can work on that. Yeah. Where if you just go, oh, you know, like, I'm just not feeling it, you know, see ya, and then just fucking peace out. How can someone take that? That's not, and it's like, there's a way to do it that's just being genuine, and like, it's like criticism, but constructive criticism to actually help the person in their next relationship. Because I'd love someone to say to me, hey, like, you're an amazing person, I see who you are, but also you keep doing this and it's not making me feel very good. So I'm like, shit, I need to work on me and not do that, because I'm seeing more recently certain things that I've said in situations, not just in a relationship, but just in like a friendship setting, and I'll say them as either a joke or just banter or whatever it may be. And then I'll have friends after will go like, hey, were you like flirting with that person, or were you annoyed at this? Like, and I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, so like how you say something can be perceived so differently. So it's like, until you have someone call you out or bring it to your attention, you can just go through life being kind of blind to your own like stupidity in a way. You are. And I wish more people would do that. Like, I wish more people would just be like, hey, you know, I had some amazing dates with you. I had a really good time with you. You're a great chick. You're just not the chick for me. Like, I would much prefer that than just like all of a sudden I don't hear from you. Yeah. And like you just get ghosted, or they make up a bullshit lie. Ghosting culture is massive now because people don't, again, it's like,
they're too afraid.
I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm like, ghosting someone
is hurting them feelings.
Yeah. And then it puts you in this situation where you're like, you ruminate on it because you're like, was it me? Was it them? Are they seeing someone else? Is like, you don't know what the case may be. It's also
like, I would rather someone be like, oh yeah, like I've been seeing someone. We all know that you're like, when you're dating someone, you know, you're not dating just that person. You know that people are multiply, like they're going on dates with other people. We all know that, right? It's like, okay, cool. You've had a better connection with someone else. Just say like, all right, cool. Yeah. I've found a better connection with someone else.
People also don't want to say it because they also don't know what that other connection is, and they want their little fallback plan B.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing as well. Because it's like, I don't want to tell this person I found someone else because that person might fall through and then I need a backup. Like, everyone wants their life raft that's there just in case the ship sinks. Yeah. And it's like, if I say, hey, I'm seeing someone else, and that person's going to be suddenly off me. But if I just leave it and go, oh, I've just been busy with my family for the last 5 months, and, you know, I'm back now. Like, you know what I mean?
So, do you know what grinds my gears? There's been times where you know that that's happened. Like, they've gone off, they've found someone else. And then like a few months later, they randomly just reach back out to you and they're like, hey, how you going?
Yeah.
Sorry? I'm pretty sure you just like completely left me on red like 3 months ago. Like, oh yeah, clearly that didn't work out and now you're back. Fuck off.
No, but I still don't even I don't even get angry about it anymore because I get it as well. Like if someone like, and that has happened to me before. Yeah. And like, I get it. It's like, I don't, again, this comes back to the rejection piece you were talking about. Yeah, like, so don't take it so personal. Yeah. It's like, you owe me nothing. I slid into your DMs and we had a few back and forth, and I like some of your photos. Like, there is no, like, this is nothing. And the fact that you left me on red, like, I shouldn't care if you found someone else that you're more interested in, because I know I've been that same person. So once you start putting yourself in the same shoes, it's like the whole, this is probably the worst thing that I feel like guys can probably do. And it goes both ways. It's like, they will do something to someone and think nothing of it, and then someone will do it to them and suddenly the world's ending. So it's like being aware that, like, hey,
we all do the same, like,
and
what you've done to, is that what you're saying? Like, what you've done to
the way that someone's treated you, you've probably treated someone else a similar way.
Yeah, because there's been times where like I'll leave someone on red and like, yeah, it might be not even like it's not even gone anywhere. Like we haven't even met up. We've just been chatting for like a week or 2 weeks or something, and then I've been talking to someone else and they're more interesting, so I'll just leave it on, like leave them.
Yeah.
So
I don't think people get upset about that, do they?
surely there'd be some people out there that would probably be a bit like butthurt about that. I can imagine there would be, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it's like if you're actually seeing someone and there's like obviously sexual connection and it's gone for like 3 months and then you kind of just go, oh, peace. Like that's a bit more, yeah, like give them an explanation. But I'm saying as well that I've been on the receiving end of someone that's just left me on red and I've also left other people on red. And it's like, it is what it is. Don't read too much into it.
Don't take it personally is probably your biggest piece of choice.
Yes, and I take it personally.
Yeah.
I get so worked up on it. And again, it all comes back to, like, I had a friend that she was like she was a friend, but then we hooked up a couple times, and I just knew like this isn't going anywhere, and I don't want to waste someone's time. And this is my biggest thing now. If you kind of obviously you can meet someone, there's a connection, you feel good, and then you hook up a few times, you see each other a few more times, and you go, okay, I don't see this going further. And I'm pretty straight up now that I'm like, hey, I don't see this going further. We don't have the connection I thought we might have had. Can we leave it? Anyway, because of that, she was like, oh no, but maybe let's try, and like trying to put more effort into it. But
And then that gives you the ick.
in a way, yeah, but I said to her, I'm like, every time you want to contact me and do something, put effort into yourself.
Yep.
Work on yourself. Do something for
You
yourself.
actually gave her valuable feedback.
Well, it's like feedback that I need to know as well. It's like if I'm over interested in someone that doesn't want to be interested in me, you're not going to get them back by throwing yourself at them and going, oh, please, come on, love me, like me. Pushes them away. It's like if you go to the gym, if you read more, if you get cooking lessons, if you start writing, if you do all these things that fill you up and then start projecting that out to the world, they'll go, oh my God, you've actually worked on yourself and you've become a better, smarter, stronger person. I'm more attracted to you now. And you never know what bridge, if you don't set it on fire, might get crossed later in life. It's like, stop trying to get worked up and angry at someone because they don't want you, and instead go, okay, well, that didn't work out. How can I become a better version of myself to then attract not only that person, but then multiple other people that are going to show interest in me as well?
I definitely started doing that as well, I would say. From the last I would say situationship I was in Africa, I definitely did that. And I think it becomes easier. I think it's become easier for me, but I think it's become easier for me because I've been able to self-reflect and I've been able to analyze patterns that have happened in the past. And I feel like definitely a few years ago, I hadn't done that work to realize what I needed to work on, right? So I look back and go, oh yeah, like there was definitely areas that I needed to improve on myself to identify how to respond a little bit more calmly in situations too, right? And even so, I think I do approach every situation way more compassionately now and without taking it personally too. And that I think says a lot to the person when you can remove that feeling of what have I done, or, you know, like, yeah, without taking it personally. So I think that's a really good lesson for everyone to take away today is to just
get better, not bitter.
Yeah.
To the whole thing. And like how it doesn't really happen, but just say you went to someone and said, hey, look, I don't think we should keep doing this. It doesn't feel right. If the person turned around and goes, oh yeah, sweet, I'm just going to keep doing me anyway. Like this, like if they just reacted like that, you'd actually be more likely to be like, oh, maybe I do actually like this person. It took that way too well. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's like an automatic reaction where someone pulls away, you want to grab on and hold on, where the best thing you can do is
it's easier to let go. And I think that's what happened in the last situationship. I was just like, it's okay, move on, done. Be okay. Be okay with that choice that didn't work out. Yeah, I think that's good sort of.
Situationships should just be called commitment issues,
right?
Like it's all they are. It's like it's like an open relationship. It's like I want to have sex with multiple people. I just like having sex with you the most. Like that's all an open relationship is, really.
Yeah,
and like a situationship is somewhat of that. It's like it's just a weirdly labeled open relationship.
It's a way to, if you want to, or if the situation happens where you end up sleeping with someone else, you don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Like basically.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah. I know, and I know what that pressure, that expectation wrapped around this.
I think most people genuinely want to be in a monogamous relationship. I feel like most people would not want an open relationship. Like, what would your opinion be on that? If you were in a if you
have a solid connection with someone, like you truly love that person, I don't think you want to bring other people and get them involved in that situation at all.
Yeah,
that's just me personally, and I know other people out there, and I guess it's like a deeper way of knowing, because like I'm sure there's people out there that are open, but they love their person. They probably have some kind of boundaries and rules put in place where like you can maybe sleep with one other person a year, and it's got to be a certain, like you'd hope that the person they'd sleep with, if they knew they could sleep with someone else, was someone that was also caring, giving, loving person. And they also knew the whole situation, like, yeah, I've got a person, yeah, this is what this is. And like, I don't know, like I haven't found, I know if I love someone, I wouldn't want to share them with anyone. That's my person.
Yeah, right.
But I guarantee there'd be people out there that probably have an open relationship.
And it works for them.
And it works, and it's healthy, and it's not looking at them like they're doing the right or the wrong thing, but it's just different, and it works. And if they're happy, they're happy. And like, fuck off what my opinions are, because it doesn't matter in that situation. Like, they had nothing to do with my life. So why would I go and get involved and say that's the wrong or the right thing? It's like so many facets of like connection sexually with people get so judged, like even to the extent of like OnlyFans and stuff like that. Like, everyone has this opinion on what it is, and that's a whole nother kettle of fish with like porn and sharing yourself online. But like, if someone's generally happy and they're open about their sexuality and they want to put themselves out there and like they can make money off
it, like it's their
life.
Yeah.
Why should I have an opinion in what someone does with their body and how they make money? Like, I race mountain bikes, like that's using my body in a sport. On TV, like if someone was like, oh my God, but it's dangerous and you're going to get hurt and all these like negative things that come with it, I'd be like, fuck off. Like, don't watch. Don't like so I see that with like all those different things that you can do with sexuality, is like, if you're into it, it makes you happy and it feels good, and you've got someone that reciprocates that to you, then what's the problem? I'm not going to jump down your throat because I don't agree with what you do, because it has nothing to do with me whatsoever.
Yeah. I want to bring it back to sexual chemistry and your opinion on, so when you're seeing somebody and then the moment that you sleep with them, have there been times where you've slept with someone and then it's instantly like turned you off them, or it's enhanced the sexual chemistry? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, both for sure.
Yeah.
There's had like times where like there's been such a big long build up, and then it happens, and
then you're like, you're just like, oh, I'm not interested.
The best way I could describe it is it's clunky. It's just, it doesn't flow. It doesn't flow. It's not as sexy as you thought. It's just like you're not invested and you're not in it. And then there's been other times where I didn't necessarily thought that it would be as good as what it was.
And it was better.
And then, it was life, like your whole, like you get lost in it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just everything. It's like you have these feelings that you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But then that can also cloud your judgment of what this actually is. It's like, you feel so connected with the person, you feel like this is everything, but then you realize, no, it's just sexual desire like packaged into this moment.
Yeah. So how do you filter through that when you're looking to whether
slowly
like to further invest into it, or to kind of not? Like,
it's a hard thing, because it's like, if you've got someone in your life that you're casually having sex with constantly, like over a time frame, and you're wanting someone else to come into your life because you want to build a relationship, like that person, I don't believe you can build a solid relationship while you're still having casual sex with someone else. They're especially very intimate and very connected.
That's me as well.
Yeah. So I think it's like, for the right things to come into your life, you need to be clear, and you need to not have different distractions and other people playing a role in your life that's especially so intimate, because this is the fucking catch-22, because when you're in that situation where there are multiple people that you are seeing, and like being honest and open to them, saying like, this is casual, like nothing serious, and they all know that, but then you start to like one of those people more than the rest, that relationship normally actually builds further, because again, you've kind of got your like eggs aren't in one basket, they kind of spread. So that normally builds, and then you get to a point where you're kind of like, oh, I've got to cut everyone else off, and then you put all the focus on them, and then the relationship again then kind of shifts because you've put all your energy to that person, and it comes back to they don't want all that energy, they only want like a part of it. Because
has that happened to you?
For sure that's happened. It's like you kind of it comes back to that, like people always say they like, I want all of you, and then they get all of you and like too much.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like that's more common than not. But then it comes back to the thing that I see to cure that is stop looking at putting your energy to multiple people, put it into yourself. Like the whole narrative, I guess, of this podcast, and the big takeaway for anyone listening to this right now is that put energy into you. Put all the energy you have, the love, the affection, the care, the want to see succeed, all of that into you, and start loving yourself and being your own best friend, and like be what you'd want to see in a partner. And then the right person will pop up. Yeah. And then when they do pop up, don't start putting all that energy, affection, and love into them straight away. Build it, turn it, figure out what it is first. Like so often we think that it's this, me personally think it's this thing before it is a thing. Like this is still nothing. Like you might only have seen them for like 3 months and you're like, oh my God, this is my life partner. We don't really know yet. It's like, it takes time to build something. So keep putting that love into yourself constantly and build and see where it goes. And then when it gets to a point where I don't know, like time frames,
it's one of those things, isn't it? Because I used to be, oh yeah, like it's been a bit, it feels like it's long enough to now have a conversation about it. But as you kind of said, you do just know. And I think you do know, you get in your gut feeling, I think the conversation needs to be had now. Like I'm ready to have the conversation with them. How do you, like, because you're someone that likes to, as you mentioned, your biggest red flag for yourself is getting caught up in the narrative too early. So now when you approach, or when you go into a relationship, like a new relationship, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready to progress with this now. How do you approach that conversation when you're feeling like you're ready to
just kind of read the room and feel and just be honest and be like, hey, I'm not seeing anyone else. I feel like this feels right. Like I would like to be exclusive. If you feel the same way, like, you know, like you kind of, you read the room and you feel the cues to like when to say something like that or put that out there. But the biggest thing is just take it slowly. Like, don't rush into anything and just really feel it out and go off what feels right. And the thing is, if you say what feels right in your stomach and the person doesn't feel the same way, then that's just not your person.
Exactly.
And that's the best thing that you can realize is, if I'm going to say something that comes from like the heart or the gut, or whatever you want to say, and feels right to say, and it's not reciprocated, that's still a win, because now you know, okay, I didn't waste any more time putting energy into someone that doesn't feel the same way I do. So it's all good. But I just would say take it slow and just feel it out, like really feel it out, because everyone's time frames are so different. Someone could fall in love in a month, a year, 2 years. Like, it's so different and so situation dependent. So don't get so caught up if it's going slower than your friends or faster than your friends or whatever it may be. Just if it feels right, it feels right.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And so, was there anything that you wanted to further talk about in today's episode as well? Like, was there anything that I feel like we need to continue doubling into? Like, is there anything you want to share in terms of people that are struggling with dating at the moment, struggling to kind of put themselves out there, or they've had enough of fucking dating apps and all of that, but they want to, do you know what?
I think like the biggest takeaway is just to say, like, it all gets better if you get better.
Yeah.
Like, everything in life gets better if you get better. So don't dwell so heavily on if something didn't work out or something didn't go the direction you thought it should go. I hate the saying everything happens for a reason, and I know everything does happen for a reason, but you also need to create those reasons, and you need to put in the work behind that. Like, it's like people just go, the right person will, like, it'll be all right if I find the right person, but like, you need to put the work in to create yourself as the right person.
You are
clear of that,
because you're exactly
yeah. So
because they say that, right? Like, you are naturally going to find someone who is you, like another version of you. So when you become when you become the person that you want to date, that's usually when it'll happen.
Yeah.
Right?
And just do the things that you enjoy. Like, we get so, like, you go into a relationship, you lose yourself, you put it more into the other person, and then you stop doing the things that fill you up, you stop doing the things that make you feel good, and then you lose yourself. Again, your identity gets lost. Like, who am I now without this relationship? You become codependent and you stop being you. So it's like, as soon as you come out of something, just go back to the things that make you feel good. Be around your friends, do things that help them, like get your excitement from helping friends, not just partner.
I notice this a lot for people that have been in, say, like a long-term relationship, and then that hasn't worked out, and they're now single, and they're like, who the fuck am I? Like, I've lost all my friends. I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I'm talking people that have been in, 10-year relationships, and then now they're single. Yeah. Like, they're single, let's say, like, my age, 30, and then they're like, fuck, what now? So that's really challenging, I think, for a lot of people that don't do that inner work on themselves when they're in a long-term relationship, because then if that ends, they're kind of like lost.
Well, they lose balance. Like, and that's the thing that I know personally comes back to my red flag, is I lose balance when I enter a relationship, because I'm like, cool, I've got a person now. This is exciting. This is fun. Like, what can we do? Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And I become like a kidney candy store of like all these different like adventures and shit we can do. Because I'm like, let's go overseas. Let's do this. And I get overexcited too quickly, which you'd think hearing would be like, oh, that's an amazing trait. But it's also, again, too early, too soon.
And you stop doing the little things that you like.
Stop seeing your friends. Stop doing the sport you like. Stop pushing yourself. Stop, again, chasing your purpose. Stop setting goals. Because it's like, well, I'm getting all this love and affection from someone that feels great. Like, I don't need those things. I don't need to go catch up with my friends once a week. Yeah, I don't need to go do that sport that I've always done. I don't need to do that. And then you lose yourself. And then, like you say, when the relationship ends, who am I now? Who am I? Where are my friends? Where are my goals? Where are the people that have made me feel like the best version of myself?
That's why I say this to anyone who gets into a relationship. Like, because I put a lot of time and energy into, I think a lot of people put more time and energy into their friends when they're single, and then they do start hanging out with their friends less. I think as long as when you do enter a relationship, to still like regularly catch up with your friendship circle, but also without the partner as well.
100%.
And like not to keep your life separate at all, but definitely still go and do the things that you were doing when you were single versus in a relationship, to keep who you are and what you love, I think, as well.
And just care for you. Like, friendship jealousy is a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
And I've seen it a lot. And I've been a part of that, where you'll have a best mate or get a girlfriend. You don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
And you want to be happy for them because they found someone else. Be like, I kind of miss my buddy as well.
Yeah.
And like, think about that. Like, you've got to maintain relationships with your friend as much as you want to build a new relationship as well.
Mm.
And take that in consideration, because they're there for you.
Yeah.
And they're there for you when that relationship fails. They're there for you before it started. Like, they've been always there for you. So now it's like, oh, I've got this shiny new exciting thing. I don't need to talk to my friends at all anymore. And it hurts. Like, it feels like you're always breaking up with your mate in a way. So it's like, be considerate of them as well.
Yeah. And still make time for them, like you. Like,
100%.
And I think it's all all relative. I know when my friends get into new relationships, you give them that grace period. It's like, okay, cool. Like, they're in their love bubble. Like, let them be. It's fine. Like, I'm okay on my own anyway. But then it's also like, but still try and like make an effort to catch up here and there.
100%.
Yeah.
Because what we talked about just before we started the podcast was talking about, what was it? The cost?
The cost versus reward.
Cost versus reward. It's like, what is this going to cost to maintain this, or to build your passion, whatever it may, and what is the reward back?
Mm.
And like, do you want to talk about as well with like, obviously competing and stuff? There's a cost reward for relationships and everything.
Yes, I do want to talk on that. Thank you for reminding me. So when I compete, I have to accept that I don't date. Like, I don't date, and my relationships are really compromised. And the reason that they're compromised is because I don't dine out, I don't drink alcohol. So that naturally socializing is more challenging. Doesn't mean that I can't socialize, because there's a lot of other ways you can go on dates. Like, you don't have to go on a date that involves drinking and eating. Like, you can go catch up for coffee, you can go for a walk, like, you can do a number of activities. But I know that I have to just be completely focused on me and just like in my zone doing my training and all the things that come with competing. I feel like I don't have the mental capacity for another person when I'm competing. That's just me. Other people are different. Other people would make time for it, but it's just, for me, it's a distraction that I don't need when I'm competing. But it also compromises my relationships with my friends because they like to, you know, go and do fun things as well. And you almost feel like you're letting people down because you might say, yeah, let's catch up on this day. And then like it gets to that day and you're like, I'm fucking exhausted. I don't actually want to hang out with anyone. I need to do, as you always say, like focus on you and do what you need to do. And I'm really big on that in prep. It's like, I need to have my 7 hours of sleep, my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I need to get up early to go to the gym, or I want to do my meditation. I want to do my journaling. I want to do all these things. And then so you're constantly saying no. And then you also mentioned before, like, oh, I need to go to my friend's birthday, or your friend's cracked it at you because you don't want to go to their birthday. And there's this expectation, but it's their birthday. So you have to be there and you stress yourself out again. And I have these conversations with my clients. They always are like, I'm busy, I'm scattered, I have this, and this to do. And I'm like, you could just say no to your social plans. Like, you don't have to go. Like, if you're that stressed, don't go. Because people don't want to let other people down. Yeah. And then I think when it comes to relationships, that's when relationships can be hard. It's because you don't want to be that person that lets your significant other down. So then time becomes a lot more, a lot harder to manage when you've got another person that you don't want to let down too. So that's where I personally think having a commitment with someone during a bodybuilding competition is really challenging for me. And I prefer not to do it. But everyone's different. And I'm sure there's a number of other bodybuilders that are like, nah, I still date and all of that. But also I have no fucking sex drive.
You know, it's like, I think this would be like relatable to so many people chasing a sporting passion is you're going to probably go further and do better if you're single.
Yeah.
Because the main reason is you have more time. You have way more time. And when you have another person, so much of your energy, so much of your focus goes into the other person.
Even just like calling them, messaging them, things like that is time consuming, really.
My best year competing overseas, I was single.
Yeah.
Every other year, I would always have a relationship. And that is a hard thing to maintain when you are on the other side of the world. You get a brief time in the morning and at night where the timelines overlap, where they're awake and you're awake. And the rest of the time, you're just missing your person.
Yeah.
It's just the mental strain.
The mental energy.
Of just like missing them. It's just that weighs on you. And it's like you're not present. And I really wish I could go back and go through my career with not being so caught up on a girl on the other side of the world, because it definitely affected my career in a negative way. And I would have hoped that I could have dealt with it better, but I didn't. I really just didn't. I was caught up. I'd fall in love easy, and I want to be home. I want to be with my person. And because of that, I missed a lot of the amazing, like I was in the moments, but I wasn't in the moment. Part of me was back home with like, I want to be with my girlfriend. And I could openly say, yeah, if I could go back and be more present in more moments and enjoy more things overseas during my career as a mountain biker, I would. Because it's like, I've got this tattoo on my side and it says, what does it say? I'm going to mess it up. But it says, be here now, be there then, and smile the whole time. So it's like we get so caught up on being in the future of like back with my girlfriend, or in this situation you've set up in your head, or this future you've set up in your head, and you're like, I'll be happy when I get to there, or I'll feel good when I get to there, and you lose track of where you are.
You're not enjoying the actual moment.
You're not present. You're not present. There's this saying, it's like sadness lives in the past, anxiety lives in the future, and everything you want and need is here right now. And I think about that, and it actively like makes me feel better, because I think about things that I've done wrong in the past. I think about things that I could have said, and I overanalyze myself to the point where I'm like, oh, why are you doing that? It's like, that's been done. Learn from it and be happy now, and then use that happiness to create a better future, instead of just visualizing this thing that's coming that you're like, oh, I'll be happy when I get that job, get that girl, get that studio, get that podcast, when I get this many. It's all just, it's an illusion of bullshit that it's like, if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy then.
You won't be happy ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm huge on that, because you touched on regret earlier too. And you said that it's bullshit when people say they don't have regrets. So that is a regret that you have.
100% that's a regret. Yeah, like I said, like everyone has regrets. It's just the level of regret that you're willing to live with. It's everything you do. Is like, if I wanted to build a studio and I built it, and there's some regret about building it, and then I know if I did it, there'd be a regret about not building it. Like the which way you fall, but I can live with the regret of building it, but not being able to go travel as often.
Is that your regret that now that you have a facility, do you feel like you're locked in here and you can't go and travel as much?
More, yeah, a little bit more than I thought I would. And I wish I gave myself that time to almost have somewhat of a gap year, because I dropped out of school, trained, became a professional athlete, traveled around the world, which is still amazing, but like working and constantly having to travel and work and race. Had a spinal cord injury when I finished retired from racing, was injured from that, came good from that, and then started building a business. So it was like, I've never, from being in school, I've never had just like a gap year to just go travel. And like, I've got the money and I've got the connections around the world that I could go do it quite easily.
It's like you've got the freedom, but you don't have the freedom because you have this.
Yeah.
Now.
And the goal now is, I look at it as just, okay, this is getting set up, getting started. Let's get it to a point where I can go and leave and don't feel so obligated to be here and build this. And this thing can keep running one way, keep making money, and like set me up later. So it's just like flip the narrative you had in the head if this is a regret, and go, there's a bit of a regret that I can't travel as much, but if I set this up, I can travel instead of making money. So it all kind of works out. It's just how do you frame it in your head. But it's just coming back to the whole idea that when people say they don't have any regrets, I just think that's bullshit. I think it's like, we all have regrets, but it's what you can live with. And having regrets isn't a bad thing, because it makes you think about how you show up next time.
Well, that's true, because regret, it has such a negative connotation to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like
It doesn't have to.
No, it doesn't have to. It's like when the person says they don't want to be with you for all these reasons, look at it as a positive, not a negative. It's like, you can straight away say, oh, this person doesn't want me because I smell and I'm overweight and I never say anything nice. You go, maybe I should start smelling better. Maybe I should go to the gym, and maybe I should start saying nice things. So that's a positive. You've just learned something.
It's also like looking at rejection in a different lens as well, of it not being so negative.
The redirection.
I love that. I love that. That is my favorite. I reckon that is one of my favorite quotes of all time. Rejection is redirection.
Yeah. I do like it as well, but you know, when something gets like rinsed, like manifestation, I just get hear it so often that it almost like
loses
its like flavor. Even though I fully agree with it, I think it's a great way to look at it. It's like, that person wasn't right, or that place wasn't right, or that situation wasn't right for me.
But hopefully every relationship you go into, you do take something away from it. Or as you said before, you've learned something new about yourself that you can then continue either A, working on, or B, like take it into your next relationship.
I agree with that, but also be careful what you take from past relationships and new ones, because I've done things where I've taken bits from old relationships into new ones, and it's a different person.
Yeah,
it's a completely different thing. And it's not like I took like a trauma or I took like an issue, but I took how someone reacted to certain things that I did, and then changed that. But then when I changed it, the next person actually liked those things that I did, but I was trying to adapt for a different person.
Yeah.
It's like, you're trying to put different keys in different locks and they don't work. It's like, everyone's so different. And it's like, you have to read cues and understand, like, obviously be yourself, but also read their cues and bounce off each other as you go, and don't try and just like drag what you learned from one person into the next if it is a completely different person. But obviously take bits and pieces from it, and again, look at yourself and go, why am I, for the example, the other day I said something and I didn't even know why I said it. After looking back at it, it was like, why did I say that? Like, what was the point in saying that? And I brought it up, and the person's like, oh, it was probably just for this reason. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. Like, that makes sense to me. But then as I was saying it, it was so unconscious of like, why am I bringing that shit up? And why am I saying it to this person when obviously it's not going to be received like well? But in my head, it's just like I'm oblivious to it because I'm so caught up in my own world of shit.
So I do that too, where I say something and go, why the fuck did I say that? Or like, what triggered me to say that? Yeah. Or you reflect and go, I don't understand. Anyways, I want to know, where are you at now versus what is next for you, both personally and professionally?
Professionally, at the moment, just
like, where are you at and where do you want to be?
At the moment, just like getting the studio like obviously the nest burley, like you plugged earlier in the potty, just getting that, building that up, making that bigger. I obviously run my own podcast, D&Ms with Dean. I want to put more effort into that and grow that, and just try and help people as much.
What's the purpose of D&Ms with Dean?
Probably multiple, really. I think it helps me understand myself better. It helps me view the world in a better way. Feedback from other people, it helps them see the world in a better way. It helps them understand themselves. I like helping people. I like giving people the tools to then help themselves and make their life a little bit better, just by things that I've gone through, or people that I interview that have stories that can help people out of either a dark place they're in, or maybe just take some confusion out of the situation. I really enjoy doing that, and I like connecting with people, so it's just enjoyable in all those.
And the people that you interview, is that any, like, pretty much any kind of field, or?
Pretty broad, yeah. Pretty broad. I have like holistic health coaches, sex educators, lead singers of bands, world champion wakeboarders, ex-pro surfers, psychics, like it's professional dancers. Like, it's the hard thing with this is it started off being a podcast where I interviewed mountain bike athletes, and it grew quite quickly because it had that niche, and everyone, and the space was very empty, so it blew up quite quickly. And I still want to talk to mountain bike athletes, but there's not many around the Gold Coast to interview, and two, it becomes repetitive to a certain degree of what you talk about. And I want to talk to different people about different things, but trying to draw an audience in to listen to a holistic health coach or an ex-pro surfer when they want mountain bike content is a bit tricky. So it's this process now of creating my own, not even a niche, but new audience that enjoy kind of different levels of sports, music, art, whatever it may be, and drawing them over. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now. And it seems to be like growing consistently, but it's just one of those things that I'd like to have it to a point where it's like.
And then what you talk about, obviously it being D&Ms with Dean, is it talking more about their stories and like the challenges that they've overcome, and getting to know their, like, just their personalities?
Basically, like trying to, normally when I meet someone, I feel like you get that I would chat to on a podcast because of how you show up. It's normally people that have gone through something, and it's how they've come out of it the other side, and how they can use that to help others is probably the main theme, and just kind of diving into their story and what makes them tick, and how they can kind of bring their genius and their passion to the rest of the world and help others in that way.
I love that, because that's exactly what the Evolve to Thrive podcast is all about too. So when I came up with the name Evolve to Thrive, the way that I positioned it was, whenever I get a guest on, I want them to talk about something that they've gone through, some kind of adversity or challenge that they've had, and how they have evolved on the other side, and now they're thriving, basically. So they've gone through adversity, they've evolved, now they're thriving. So talk to me. I want you to share with the listeners a piece of advice that you have learned about yourself in a particular situation. Maybe it was from the accident that you had with mountain bike riding, and what you learned in that moment, through that adversity, through that time of challenge, and how it allowed you to then level up in life.
I heard this thing the other day. I was on a podcast where they said no one will ever know how much violence it took to become this gentle. And I love that. And I kind of thought of my own thing. It's like, no one will ever know the amount of pain it took to become this wise. And I think when it comes to pain, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever you want to say, whether it's in your heart, your mind, or your body, that it's a good thing to go through that amount of pain, because that's where you're going to learn. That's what is really going to teach you who you are and what you can get out of that. And I know that I've gone through a lot of pain emotionally, mentally, physically. And every time I do, as bad as it is, I know I come out the other side being a stronger, better person for it.
It builds resilience. And
100%.
Yeah.
So I think for anyone listening, and a bit of advice I could give you is, whenever you're at that low point in life, whenever you're feeling immense pain in whatever way that may be, know that you're feeling it for a reason, and you need to figure out what that reason is. And coming out the other side of that, you are going to be a more evolved, happier, stronger person. But you have to know that you need to put the work into yourself. No one else is going to come and do it for you. You're going to do it for you. So it's just, all right, I'm feeling this. I never want to feel this again. Let's put in the work now, do what we need to do, and come out the other side being better.
What are some things that you do to work through those? Like, what are things that you do personally in your own day-to-day practices or habits to allow you to tap into that?
I think a big one's like surrounding yourself with good people and not shunning yourself away, because like we all go through similar things, and your friends, family, loved ones can help shine a light where you might not see the things that you're doing or saying or things that you need help with. So be open, go maybe seek help, see a psychiatrist.
Do you see a psychologist?
I think I'm going to actually start. I was talking to my friends about this because I'm like, I need to change whatever it is that I'm doing, because it's not like I was talking to my friend the other day. It's like my life is way too good to be as sad as I am, as much as I am. And people probably wouldn't see that.
Yeah.
It's like people would see me from the outside as being like this happy out there person. But like, honestly, most of the time I'm like extremely bummed.
What is that how you feel right now?
Yeah.
What do you think it is that makes you feel like you're feeling like you've got something in you that you want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, what is it that you feel like you're lacking or not getting, or something that you need?
I think partly is, like I said before, is like giving myself a self-love and care and actually putting energy into me. And I think there's a big one, and it comes back to obviously being the athlete and competing, is like I always had like a big goal. And obviously I have a goal with the podcast and with the studio, but I feel like me personally, I need a big, like...
You need more purpose.
A purpose around, and even like a purpose that pushes myself physically.
Yeah.
And I've got a goal. I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I've talked about it a while ago, and it's one of those things where I don't want to say stuff if I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that. But there's a thing that I want to do that is like, it's been in the back of my mind for a few years now. And I think I just need to do that. Like, I need to just go and do this thing that's like so far out of like, fuck, you're doing that kind of thing, and push myself to figure, like, just define myself a little bit as well. So that's in my mind now, and I'm going to start working towards making that a reality, because I think I need that thing where it's like you push yourself so far past the point of where you think you can go. And I think on the other side of that is where you really figure out who you are, and you really achieve something that makes you go, oh my God, like this is what I was put here to do. And I think within that is a lot of fulfillment and happiness. And I guess I miss having that. And I guess in a way, like we're all kind of floating through life in like, what's the right direction to do certain things.
So many of us just feel lost.
Yeah. I guess that's probably a part of where I'm a bit like, was this the right thing? Is this the right direction? Is that the right way to go? Because I guess for me, even now, like this is the first like 17 years of doing a pretty similar thing and having a one fixated goal, and then for that to go and then to put all your energy into something completely different than you haven't really done before. It's like you are figuring out as you go, and there's always that like, did I make the right call? Is this the right thing? What direction is it going? How much energy do I put in it? And all that is constantly like going around my head. And then you obviously, like we talked about before, you add like emotional connections and stuff in that. And I know personally, like my emotions, they do go both ways, and they do go both ways to quite extreme points. So I know I could be like over the top happy and excited and out there one day, and then be low as hell the next. And like, it's just one of those things that I need to regulate that more, to just go through like, not numb, but like more of a steady,
rather than all the highs and the lows.
Yeah. And like, I think it's good to feel all of it, but I think when it's as sporadic as it can be with me, it's like, okay, at a certain point, like let's just get like a nice kind of medium going, like a few little highs, and if something happens that's wrong, it's like, don't read into it so much. But yeah, I guess I always say to people, like, it's easy to hide behind a smile, and you don't really know how people feel or what they're going through. And I know me personally, for like what I would portray online and how I come across online would be this super happy, excited person, because I am that person. But a lot of the time I'll put out stuff that look like that, and I'll just be like in the worst headspace ever, and just no one would see or know about that.
That's really interesting. And I think another thing is to also address, like, it's actually, everyone probably should see a psychologist too, just to kind of, because something that you've really highlighted on this podcast is to do the inner work on yourself and to really figure out who you are and continue working on you to then get more people, like, to gravitate towards more people, to attract someone that you actually want in your life. You need to do the work on you. but so many people don't know how to do that. And I think, speaking to someone that's a neutral party can really help you figure that out as well. And I think as well, because you did touch on like the inner childhood trauma and how that can play out in your relationships, and how, you know, you might act out of spite in certain situations when you're dating, and that all of that too stems from not knowing who you are.
I feel like I'm pretty aware, I'm self-aware of who I am and the triggers and traits and everything. But like I said before, you can know what's wrong. Doesn't mean you're fixing it. And it's like, okay, you can see these things that are wrong, but why do you go jump back into the fire again?
You were saying that, like, you feel like you keep going on the same like you keep going around in the same circle.
Yeah.
So you need to feel you're on the part where you're at now is figuring out how to break that cycle, really.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at now. And I'm just gotten to the point where I'm, like I said, my life's too good to feel the way I feel. And I know that. I know, like, I'm loved, I'm healthy, I live in a nice place, I have a cool job, like, I see friends, like, from the outside, everything is amazing. And then I'm just like, why am I bummed out? Why am I never that excited? Why am I just going through the motions of life? And I'm like, that's not how you live life when you have all these positives that you can see and you know.
Isn't it interesting how we hear this from so many people that are really successful, but somehow they're not happy? Like, you can have all the things in the world and look like you're fulfilled, but you're not. Isn't that really interesting?
I relate all the time to Robin Williams, and I see how he was as a person and how he was betrayed and how he showed up, and I never understood why, like, he committed suicide and took his own life, because I'm like, be so happy and you gravitate towards people and people gravitate towards you, and you're all these things and you're excited, you're finding all this. And I was just like, fuck, man, it's like, you can put on this facade, you can hide behind a smile, you can be seen as this person and be fighting all these battles within yourself that no one knows. And I always relate to that, because I'm like, fuck, I know what that feels like. Like, I've been there many times.
Well,
it's like, I see how much you can have this front. And like I said, if I'm running a podcast where I'm talking about getting the most out of yourself and being happy and in love with life, but then as soon as the cameras come off, I'm just like, I'm fucking low as anything. I'm like, I don't think that's a very good...
Then you feel out of alignment.
You feel like a phony, really. Yeah, it's like, even with the relationship stuff, like I said at the start, like, I speak and I feel like what I say, I'm proud of what I say, because I feel like it's the truth. And I think a lot of people could take that advice and use it. But I say this because I need to hear it as anyone else needs to hear it as well. But I also need to not just hear it, but then act upon what I'm saying. It's like, you can go online and say, do this and drink this and do all this, and then go home and just eat McDonald's. And it's like, you need to live with what you're saying, like, practice what you preach is a real thing. And I don't want to be the person that says something and then acts differently. And I don't want to just be the person that comes on here and just preaches being happy and fulfilled and all that, and then I can't even feel that myself. So, like, I need to figure that out. And that's what I'm saying. I'd go see a psych or something to just understand me better.
Yeah. And then on the relationship side of things, where are you at versus what's next for you in that regard?
What's next is, it's tricky, because, like, I want a relationship. Like, I really enjoy having, like, a strong connection bond with someone. Like, I want to build something. And I don't want to just have, like, random hookups or, like...
That's past you?
I feel, yeah, I know there's just not, it's just, it doesn't feel like, it's a nice little dopamine hit, and it feels nice to feel wanted. And it's like, it's always fun. Like, it's always fun. It's never like a bad time going on, like, a first date with someone, or going to, like, just because you get the best version of yourself and the best version of them, and it's exciting and it's fun. So I get that, but you just kind of get to the point, it's like, what are we doing here?
Why am I doing this still?
And why do I keep doing this? Like, you're never going to have that proper, intimate, passionate connection with someone on the second and third date. It's like, that comes, that you need to build that and go into that. So I want to build that, but then it's the whole thing of, like, it's like the whole thing of cutting every distraction, everything out to focus on you, and then have someone come in, but then also not being so fixated on, like, well, I want a relationship, this is going well. You get so caught up on...
You don't want to then dive into it too soon. Or like, feel like you're diving into it.
You get too excited about it, which is an easy thing to do when something feels really nice and feels really comfortable really quickly. So that's the thing now, is, like, finding my purpose and my goal, setting all my energy into that and myself to achieve that, And then if someone comes in, don't get so distracted by them being here and just go, oh, well, do you complement my life? And can you help me achieve this goal by showing up not all the time, but when it would be nice, and vice versa, like me not showing up and fucking with your schedule or your life, but instead complementing each other. And I guess it's just, that's what I would like to find. And no, and
do you feel like that's hard to find?
I don't think it's that hard to find, but the hard thing for me is living by what I'm saying and like actually finding someone, and again, not getting overexcited and fucking it up by getting in my own head. Like that's been my issue in pretty much my entire dating life, is either I'll seek someone and I'm like not super interested, it's kind of casual, and then I don't show that much interest, but it's fun and easy and kind of just keeps going, but it's not really building to anything.
Yeah.
Or I'll meet someone and it will feel amazing and I want to put all my eggs and energy into that, and then the person will be like, well, this is too much, and then pull away, and then I'll chase, and then it will fucking end. It's like rinse and repeat with those things. It's like
You're not alone on that. I feel like so many people will resonate with this a lot.
Yeah. So it's like, it's the balancing act of putting, and like, again, this, I feel like I'm repeating myself again and again, but it's like the balancing act of just putting that energy you put into someone else into you, and actively knowing that, okay, I have a purpose, I have a goal, that's where I'm going to put my energy. And if someone comes in, don't suddenly drop everything you have to put it into them, because they don't want that either.
No.
Like, they don't want that. They want you to be a fucking man, lean into your masculine, go fucking kill the saber-toothed tiger, go get your money, like,
yes,
go do your thing.
Yeah.
They want to see you do that and be proud of you doing that, instead of going like, oh, baby, what do you need? What do you want? Because like, that's not the thing.
The thing is, like you said,
I know, I do all of it. That's the
hardest part.
That's the most frustrating fucking part. I'm not like, what do I need to do? It's like, I not only know what I need to do, I talk about it on the podcast, and everyone goes, oh my God, that's so
ding. Yeah. But they're like, how? You know the what, but how?
I put a fucking TikTok up that was like talking directly to myself about what I need to do in a relationship or situationship that's ending. I put online, it gets 700,000 views.
What was it? What did it? Literally what you just said now, basically. Something I did a TikTok.
It was talking about like letting go. I can play through the thing, but it's like, I say this stuff because it's like, I know I need to hear this, and then I put it online and everyone's like, oh my God, that's exactly. So I'll play it now. This has got 600,000.
In that scenario, if your partner was holding you back or you're on your personal boundary, I think you need to know when to let go. And I think you need to know yourself well enough to know what something isn't serving you, someone isn't serving you. Letting go is probably not only the best thing for yourself, but the best thing for them as well. Once you start to make someone else happy at your own expense, there's resentment that comes up, there's anger that comes up, you will not love not only them properly, but you won't love yourself either. Man, I think we hold on to people for far too long because of these readings that come up to our brain. Like, being together for years, you've got a house together, you have a family together, you have a dog together, you have all these different things, and you hold on to this person, and you know deep down that they're not going in the same direction that you are, they're not aligned, or their values don't match, or whatever it may be. I think recently people please it, so we try and please them to the point where we're not pleasing ourselves, but looking after ourselves, and then in turn, we don't love ourselves, and then we don't love ourselves. The whole relationship, even though it's still going, it's failing. You're like in the house, it's burning down, and you're like, it's all right, it'll be fine, we're fine, but you know, like, it's all going to collapse at some point. What would you do?
And that's where you're at right now.
Literally, when I was saying, even hearing my voice, I didn't even want to record that. I didn't even want to record that podcast. So that was with my friend Maddie, who was doing some work with me, and she's like, let's sit down and I'll ask you questions so we can get some TikTok content. That was the first thing she asked me, was that. And that was like...
That's as vulnerable and as real as you got.
Because that was like, I need to let go.
Yeah.
It's not serving me. Like, it's the house is literally on fire. Like, get the fuck out.
But so many people are in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, so many people stay miserable.
That's why it hits, because it's like people can relate to that, and you all go through that. Like, I get it, but...
You need to let go. Like, you have to,
and love myself and look after myself and worry about myself. And it's like, when I say that, that's why, being vulnerable and being honest like that hits because people can relate to it. And relatability is what pushes like viral content, because they're like, oh my God, I feel this every day.
Exactly.
But then it's like, I say that, but then it's like,
but you feel like you don't actually have some valuable, actionable piece to run with.
In ways, I definitely do stuff that I would say relates to that in a way. But then, like, I probably after that happened, I probably reached out to the girl. I was just like, "Hey, you want to catch up?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I'm like,
the bloody loop, like this. Yeah,
exactly. Like, let go. Like the house of dog.
I guess, as you said, it's like when you want to go and message them, do something for you.
100%. Yeah, go for a run. Go to the gym. Like, read a book. Like, go see your friends. Call your mum. Like, so many positives that you could do over going back to someone who doesn't want you, that has made it obvious, and that has done nothing wrong, but just doesn't want you as part of their life. And it's like, once you go, okay, there's going to be people out there that will want me for me and enjoy me for me. And once you realize and accept that, you won't get so caught up on someone that doesn't want to be in your life. Like, they don't have to be in your life. Everyone's like, because then it comes back to, I know that I've been with people that I want to be in their life. I get it. I see it from all sides, but it just hurts when
it's you.
When it's you, yeah. So I always try to be compassionate and very upfront and honest with people that I'm seeing. Like I said to you before, I was seeing someone, and by like the third or fourth date, I was like, this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I could have so easily strung that along and had someone just like, hey, you want to catch up? Because it feels not like, it feels nice when someone wants you. It feels nice when someone gives you affection, when they like sexually or just like out in public or whatever it is, they hold you, like they do that. It feels nice. So I could have just strung that along because I know that you're more interested and more invested in this than I am. So like I could string this along for a few months, 3 months, 4 months, and see you casually and say, oh, well, I never thought it was that serious. But that's making me a fucking asshole because I'm just stringing you along knowing that this has a use by date on it, and then I'm going to end it. And I've been in that situation on the other end of it where it's been strung along for 7 months, and I've actively said like, I love you and I want to be with you. And they're like, no, I don't want that as well. But I'm like, oh, maybe she'll change her mind. So then you keep going along with it. So it's like, I see it and I'm like, I don't want to hurt someone. Like I was hurt. So I'm very honest and upfront about like, hey, I don't see this going further, and just call it.
That is such good on you for doing that. That's really fucking bold of you to do that. And I think, and that more of that needs to happen. I think just like cut it early if you know that it's not going to work out, and you know, save the pain of them getting more invested.
Exactly, and by like third date, like
you're really big on like that whole not love at first sight, but like you go on a couple of dates and you're kind of like, yeah, I know, I feel like this will,
within the first 5 seconds. 5 fucking seconds whether you're probably going to go further. It feels like you kind of like, obviously it's not all about looks, but you'll sit down and start talking, and obviously before you've obviously met up, I would hope there's been some voice notes at least, or maybe you've called up. Like I feel like it's, if you go on a date with someone and you don't even know what their voice sounds like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Like, do some voice notes, get some emotion across where it's not a phone call, it's not as like intense, but let the person know like how you actually somewhat feel, and like because a voice can change a lot. And then when you meet up, like the first 5-10 seconds, you kind of like know like, at least is this going to be a second?
It's also like after that first date, you know whether you're gonna not go on a second date or like never see them again. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, when you leave the first date, you're like, well, I would never see them again, or I definitely want to see them again.
Yeah, 100%. You know, pretty soon.
Yeah,
like you feel it, like you read the room. I couldn't imagine going on a date and at the end of it, not knowing you, like be like, oh, do you reckon? Yeah, do you reckon it's going to be like? It's like, you know or you don't know. It's like, stop lying to yourself, and it's not a bad thing if you're like, this isn't my first.
And this is a comment I want to finish on. If you're questioning anything, like your gut's telling you already.
Yeah. But I also don't think, I was telling my friend about this, and I don't think the first date's the most important date. I think it's more like the third, the fourth, because I feel like the first one is very like surface level. It's fun, it's exciting, it's social. It's like you kind of figuring each other out, but it's also fun. You probably have a few drinks and blah, blah, blah. And then the second one's a bit the same. And like you get to like the third or the fourth, and then it starts to go like, a little bit
A bit deeper.
of where like you're at and what you want.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, like, is this the right thing? And also another big thing is, where are you taking this person on a date? Like, I think be conscious about that. Like, are you taking them to a place that's quite public? Are you being seen by other people? Are you being seen by people that will see you? Like, there's so much around when you're seeing someone, what environment you put them into, and how that's going to also react with how they see you as well.
What do you think is an ideal environment for a first date?
It's so dependent on the person.
Yeah.
It's so
For you, what is your... This brings me to my rapid fire.
I don't think you should ever go on a first date with someone where you sit opposite them and stare at them.
Like a dinner date would be a bad idea.
Dinner date, sit at a bench, look out to the ocean or whatever. And that's not to say like I don't want to look at you, because obviously I'm on a date with you, I find you attractive. But it's this idea of when you're trying to be your best self or be vulnerable or say what you mean, when someone's staring directly at you, it makes you question your reaction. People will like go off facial like cues and stuff like that. So I always say like go for people say like a walk to low value date. I don't fucking get that.
That is my...
It's a nice one because you can just bail whenever. Like if you're on it, if it's right, like it feels nice, you kind of walking. It's like, I don't know. I think a walk's really nice.
I think a walk and a coffee is a perfect first date.
Yeah, it's easy. It's chilled. If you don't feel it, you're like, all right, I got to go. It's not like you're locked into something.
And I also actually prefer a first date not involving alcohol as well.
Yeah.
Because I just think, I don't know, why do you feel like you need to drink to I would rather actually meet someone first, encounter what they're like sober. Because if they can't hold a conversation sober, then like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I get that. But also I love wine dates. So like red wine, and I really red wine could be like if it's red wine, it's fine. The rest,
hang on, depends if Kayla is in prep or out of prep.
Yeah, I get what you mean. You want to meet someone that you can connect with on a sober level that is still fun. But yeah, I get the whole. Yeah,
look, I love a wine bar. Let's be real. Anything. I reckon we get into to finish off this episode. I've got rapid fire questions, so I'm gonna give you a couple. I've actually got a couple. I say a couple and I've got a. And then I've got some this or that. And then we'll finish up the episode. All right. First one. What's your love language?
Physical touch and quality time.
Yeah. Biggest turn off in a relationship?
Someone that's smothering and not self-aware.
Not self-aware. I love that.
Passionate about just anything. Someone that's just
wait, not passionate or passionate?
Not passionate.
Not passionate.
Someone who's ever passionate. I don't care what that, it could be knitting. I don't care, but they go like
the passion.
Passion. I don't know. Yeah, got to be like there's a few different things, but just when they're not like they don't have something that excites them.
Yeah,
that's outside of like the relationship.
Your worst dating advice you've ever received?
She's out of your league. No one's out of your league if you're like confidence and being confident and happy is so attractive that I think you kind of lose sight of like physical look. Like I don't think I'm a bad looking person, but like I don't know how to not sound like a dick in saying this, but like
I'm not arrogant. I'm confident.
No,
I'm not.
But like, I don't think I'm like a bad looking person, but it always like shocks me when I'll like be talking with like really attractive women and I'll almost be like, how did this happen? And I think this stems from when I was younger, I was kind of like the fat kid at school, didn't have like a whole lot of confidence. And then I got fitter, I got taller, I got into sport. So like these things changed, but it was kind of good because from being like the fatter, not so like admired kid, I obviously was just had to be a bit funny, be like joking, be like do all these things where I wasn't just like desired by women. I was like, I just was their friend because I was a fat kid at school. And then looking back at that now, like I feel like once I left school and I found my passion, got fit, got healthy, I started to look better. I had all these tools that I could actually just talk to women fine because I always had them as friends. And then now when feel like I don't look, like I said, I don't look bad, but when I talk to women and chat to them, they're like, oh my God, you're really fun and easy to talk to.
I think you're forgetting as well, I think the older you get, girls actually care more about the emotional connection and the value that you provide.
Yeah.
Like I know for me, when I was younger, I went for looks. Now I would rather be with someone that has more to bring intellectually. And I always say emotional intelligence is like massive for me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going on a date with someone now, if the conversation is surface level, that's an ick for me. Like I feel like I would rather have a deeper level conversation with a guy. They may not be as attractive, but there is that deeper level connection. That does it more for me than someone that's just attractive. Like you could be the hottest guy in the room, but if I can't have a deep level conversation with you, then like I'm out.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah. So that matters more, which is why I think that's easier for you too. But I love that answer.
But I think, yeah, that's you. Like looks will like grab you, but oh my god, and then again, like by the third or fourth date, you go, well, you're absolutely stunning, but I need more depth.
That's what I found, and I think most women want depth.
Yeah.
Like for a long-term partner, anyway.
Yeah.
Like depth is everything, I think. Because otherwise you get bored.
Yeah, 100%. You're like, what are we going to talk about?
Like, do you agree? Like, is it the same with when you go on a date with a girl? Are you looking for depth? You are looking for depth.
100%.
Like, I can tell from this conversation, rather than looks.
Ideally, both.
Both.
Both is nice, but it's like to a certain degree, like it's like I said before, it sounds so mean, but it's like I was the fat kid, so I got more depth, and obviously, like as you like life experience, and I traveled, and like there's a lot of other factors that come into it. But as a kid, I got more depth, and I had to actually show it because
I had to actually try.
I had to try because I was a fat kid, and you know, so many people that grew up beautiful, and they haven't gone through the pain to actually level up themselves.
This is so true. I've had this conversation with. I had my old podcast host. He used to come on because he does like dating and relationships. To everyone listening, Mr. Peter, he said this too. Like he goes, I actually had to fucking work hard to get girls, and I've developed emotional intelligence, EQ he calls it, because he was the fat kid in school, and so like he's obviously had to work on himself. But now, like, he's got this charisma.
It's like how much pain it took to become this wise.
Yeah.
Like, being the fat, unattractive person that no one wants to be with is a painful thing. And I never, like, I wasn't the guy that got girls in school. Like, I never did. And because of that, I had to, like, you figure out, well, I want to get girls. I'm attracted to girls. So you try and work on yourself.
Yeah.
You try and build yourself. You go to the gym. You start, you actively change who you are to get the things you want. And it was like, it all stems from pain of not wanting to be that pain.
People act out of pain.
Yeah,
That's exactly what happens. That's when change happens.
You know, when it's like, I've realized that I'm the person I am today because I've lived so many different lives. And I've been the fat kid that had no friends in school. And then I was the like really sad kid. And then I was the athlete. And then I was the popular kid. And then I was the like, I don't know, like traveling like I've lived so many different lives, and I've felt so many different levels of emotion, and like people not wanting me, people wanting me, like being able to travel, being locked down. Like it's like all these different things that make you who you are, because your perspective is so wide, because it's like I felt so many different things. And you see people that they grew up as the captain of the football team, they've always been desired, they live in a nice spot, their parents are
And they have the shittest EQ.
Well, that's what I mean, because they have an idea, they haven't
had to do anyway.
Yeah, like I've had a mum that's always looked after me. I've always done well in school. The school's always looked after me. I've always had like a silver spoon at my ass. And you get to a point where you're
attractive.
Well, you're like, I haven't gone through shit to become the person I need to be.
Yeah.
So embrace the hard things, man.
Embrace them. 100% agree. 100% agree. What has been your worst dating experience?
I'm pretty good with dates. I feel like.
Have you had is there a signature highlight of the worst dating experience you've had ever?
There's no one that's, maybe I went for a walk once with this girl, and I was like, within the first like 5 seconds, I was like, oh, this is it. Just like, and then I remember she was like talking about her ex. She actually had her ex's dog on the walk, and it was like.
It was all about the ex.
It was all about, yeah. It was just like, the ex came up a lot, and she was saying how, he still was like in love with her, and I'm like, that's like to go and pick up your dog, like your ex's dog, because like you're still friends and you still like want to walk it, and taking that dog on a first date with a guy, and then telling the guy that he still loves you, but you're just like going back and forth into his life to like be like, yeah, I'm still here, but I don't want anything, and I'm actually gonna take your dog on a date
With another guy.
I'm like,
That's what the fuck?
oh, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was like, you know, just like,
What am I doing?
what do you mean? Like, it was like red flag after red flag. So that was something I was like, oh, I don't know about
That's
this.
fucking...
And I'm pretty sure she's back with her ex now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
standard.
But I just saw that go down, and I'm like, because I've got my housemate, him and his ex got a dog when they were together, and they still share it, but they're not like in love with each other.
Like, it's very much like neutral.
Yeah, like neutral, it's
Yeah.
chilled. Like they both had different partners, but it's all good, and that just works because my mate travels to Bali a lot, so it works well with like her looking after the dog. Yeah, but it's very chill, and I get that it can work like that, but
This was very
if
different.
he still loves you and you know that, and you're actively still going to his house to get his dog, and they're going on dates, no. That's straight up. That's a straight up no. Like, I wonder if I put it on my Instagram.
Goodbye, do not come back.
Do not pause, Joey. Do not click $20.
Fucking funny. All right. I'll finish with what does a successful relationship look like to you? I was just looking at them and I'm thinking we've already touched on this. So this one is, what does a successful relationship look like to you?
Looks nice.
It looks like I'm still trying to figure it out.
I think, like, everyone says it should be easy, and I think it should, but I still think there should be like hard conversations. I still think there should be growth within helping the other person understand their triggers and traumas. And like I said, the more important thing in a relationship is not the positives someone brings to the table, but it's the negatives that you have to work through together. So I think a healthy, good relationship looks like somewhere where you can create space for both people, and you can create space for your partner to feel vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm triggered by this because of a trauma, and can you help me work through it? And I think that should be hard in the fact that, like, that's a lot of emotion bottled up into how you come across as a person through stuff you've gone through. So I think the best thing is having someone in a relationship that you can both sit down and go, here's me, this is all my shit, like good and bad, and help me through it. And if the person goes, okay, here's all mine as well, like, let's work this out and find something strong. Like, that's what a healthy relationship goes like.
Yeah. Because too many people are too scared to get vulnerable with someone. That's a problem, I feel.
It's like opening all your wounds up and hoping the person doesn't put like salt in it. It's like...
And do it early as well. Like, don't wait around for it, because then it comes out in other ways, right?
That's the whole thing. It's how much is putting that out there early gonna... It's this balancing act of like, too much, not enough. I like you, but not that much, but I do, but how much do you like me? Like, it's a fucking dance.
It is a dance. All right. The last little bit is this or that. I'm just going to give you this or that questions. So are you ready? Dinner date or coffee date?
I like dinner dates more.
Yeah.
But wait, is this like first date, second date? What?
Let's go first date.
First date, probably coffee. Second date, probably like dinner.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's what I would do. Long distance or not worth it?
Depends on how long you've been seeing each other for and what your future goals are together. If you've been together for 4 years and then someone's got to go away for like...
You make it work.
Yeah, that's what's so dependent. If you've just met them and they're like, I'm going away for a certain amount of... It's so dependent on time and obviously situation, but long distance sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I know a lot about it.
And I guess it's like, it's so situational. So it's like, if you're going away for 2-3 months... and you've been seeing each other for, I don't know, like 6 months, but you really like, I see a future with this person, like, I'd happily wait.
Yeah.
Like, I've waited for someone for 4 months, and we'd either be dating for, I think it was probably 4 months as well, so it was like the same amount of time, and I was so happy to wait because I saw a future with this person. So it's so dependent on how you feel and what it is, but yeah, if it's like you just met someone though, and it's like you don't know, and it's all based off feelings, and no one can like, you can't put feelings into a scale. Your friends don't understand the feelings. Your family doesn't. So if you feel something strongly and it feels right, like, follow that feeling.
again, it comes back to listen to your gut, to your intuition. If it feels right, do long distance. Otherwise, don't. Texting or calling.
Calling or voice notes.
Yeah.
Always voice note. I think it's you get so much more emotion and feeling across in a voice note, and you can read and understand the person better. I normally start off with probably, I don't actually know, just voice notes all the way. I just feel like it's such a simpler way to get who you are across to someone. And massive red flag for me is if I send a voice note
And you don't get one back.
I get a text back. Obviously, there's situations where they're at work or they're around people, but if you send one back and you know they're by themselves and they send you a text, big red flag.
I actually like doing videos. I'll actually like do a video to them because I think it's good to see them, good for them to see your face and you talking.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
I think it's just more emotion that comes across. You can see the person.
Absolutely.
I have a story on that. When I was away last year, we were actually broken up, but we were kind of trying to mend it, and we'd text and we'd kind of get like a bit like argumentative over text, and then eventually I'd be like, can I call you? And she'd be like, yeah, we'll call, and then we'd still kind of be like not like chatting, but it's like some like snide remarks and stuff. I was like, can I just FaceTime you? We'd FaceTime each other, and instantly there'd be no anger, there'd be no pettiness, there'd be nothing, and be like, hey, how are you? And it'd just be nice. And it was just that the levels of disconnect through how you actually feel, and when you see someone and look at them and go, oh, actually no, I miss you and I still do care for you, but I need to see you to feel that.
That's really interesting that you say that. Yeah, because we do. The words and things that we use, it's just, again, it's miscommunication as well. And I just think people can't have difficult conversations.
This is the thing. It's like reading a text is so different depending who the person is who sent it and the tone of it. Like, if you get a thumbs up from your dad, he loves you. He cares for you. He wants to be with you. Like, you're his favorite son. You're his child. You're getting fucking thumbs up from your girlfriend. It's like, die in fucking hell. I hate you. We're done. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Like, that thumb has so much power, like either side of a girlfriend or a fucking father. So it's like, how you should read that is going to be so much different.
So fucking true. Oh my God. Fuck. Go for days. I already know the answer from you. I feel like I'm going to guess this. Emotional connection or physical attraction? Your answer is emotional connection.
Yeah. But it needs, like, the thing with this is that, like, I want both, and I feel like I want to show up enough that I can get both.
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing, it's like, you want something. You need to make yourself attractive enough to get it. So it's like, I want an attractive person that's also emotionally intelligent. I need to be emotionally intelligent, and I need to fucking take masters to the gym and get fit.
And being worthy of that too. Like, I think us as individuals also, need to have that level of self-worth to be like, I do deserve like a good relationship, or I am worthy of someone like this in my life as well. Yeah. Friends first or straight into dating? You said before that you really like
balance. Just balance it. I know I've seen friends that have got a relationship and there's like MIA, and then they have a relationship where I'm like, hey, what are we doing? It's like, oh, yes, are you fucking see you later? But I get that. Like, I always give my friends leeway, but it's like, I know that when you get a relationship, there's going to be less time to spend with your close friends. I get it, but you still want like at least a little bit of like, hey, what's going on? Let's go get a beer. Let's go hang out. Let's go for a surf.
Yeah.
Balance it for sure. And like the girlfriend wants you to do that as well. And
100%.
much as you might not think that at the start, they want you to go and hang out with your friends.
Trust me, they do, because we love our alone time. I mean, I love my alone time too. Stay single or settle for less than you want?
Stay single.
Yeah.
Always don't
settle.
Again, like, a lot of people are lonely. Like, a lot of people are lonely at the moment. I feel like when they get any form of affection, love, care, they just jump on it with everything they got. And it's like, again, this is a connection. But
it's all something I want to address to you. Like, just because you're single doesn't mean you're lonely as well. And you could be in a relationship but be very lonely. Yeah. Like, I think that's a big one. And then the final thing that I do have here is building together or having separate ambitions.
Depends on.
Yeah.
I'm here for both.
Yeah.
I think you want to have separate ambitions, but then they complement each other in a way that you can build something together. So it's like, for example, having a studio. If you had, like, just say, for example, I had a girlfriend that was like model or something, you could use that as like marketing to shoot photos and promote that. But she's also a model that goes and does her own thing and isn't like defined by the studio. So it's like having someone that complements your life and can help your passions grow, help her passions grow, but also be completely separate from each other as well. But I have seen in relationships where, and obviously it's so dependent on the person, people bring their girlfriends or boyfriends into their business, and then it's like, is this a work relationship now, or is this a passionate relationship? And those lines can become very blurry very quickly. So I think it's, be wary and protective of like how much you let someone in and in what capacity, and whether that will affect the romance of that relationship.
I think that, yeah, it can become very messy and difficult. I think it's just having those clear boundaries and expectations as well, like so that you can balance that relationship.
Yeah, and just space apart, like we said before, like space is great.
Yeah, space is good.
I'd go away for like a month when I was competing when I had a girlfriend. You get
A bit long though.
a month was a short amount of time. That was like, I did like 2.5 was like, it was a big step. But like, I'm going to say like 3 weeks, probably sweet spot, 2.5, 3 weeks. But the amount you realize you miss that person, and when you do get back, how like when you see them, you really see them.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to keep that with seeing someone, and even like, because obviously when you live together and everything in like a larger quantity of anything makes you not like it as much. And it's like how you balance that excitement in a relationship where you see that person every day, and it's like, take yourself out and go do other things, go see other friends, family, whatever it is, and then
Distract yourself.
yeah, it's not a distraction. It should just be like a passion.
Yeah, true.
A passion. Like, I don't think you should just be like putting something in to pull your attention away from the person, but just again, just do you.
Go back to, yeah.
And then like missing someone is an amazing feeling. Like, I'd hate to live with someone and like I never miss them because I see them all the time. Like, that seems like it's like that's a good way to.
Yeah, you actually do want to get that feeling of missing someone, and then like being able to then appreciate
them. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for jumping on the potty today. I feel like I could literally we could continue chatting for ages. Relationship episodes are always so fun to talk about because it is so relatable. And I think there's going to be so many nuggets that people take away from this. A lot of people, I think, will resonate with a number of the things, especially that you're going through at the moment as well. You're definitely not alone. And I think, yeah, so many people go through this. Knowing what they need to do, but being able to actually change is very challenging for people. So, yeah, is there anything that you want to finalize the episode with? Any final points, or at least tell the people where they can find you?
I think for anyone that's gotten this far, is at the end here, I think just know that whatever you are going through right now, no matter how bad you perceive it being, could end up being the best thing that ever happened to you and steer you down the path to set you up for what you're truly here to do or who you're truly here to meet. And having that reassurance in yourself that as bad as something gets, has an equal positive attached to it if you put the work in, if you actually view the things how you need to view them, if you look at it as a whole and go, I was doing this wrong and that wrong and everything else, let's fix those things and work towards something better. And the amount of times where I've gone through something that it's like, oh, my life's over, this is terrible, it's horrible, I'm at such a low point, and then look back years later and go, oh, I'm so glad that happened to me because that made me talk to this person that helped me down this path that then put me here, and now I'm so in love with life because of that. So it's just like, it's like this life vest you can wear to help you come out of a bad situation. It's like, I'm going to be all right, I'm going to be good. So just, yeah, anyone that's going through something tough, whether it be a relationship, work life, whatever it may be, just know that it gets not only better, but better than you probably could ever imagine if you put the work in to make it that way.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. Bit of wisdom there. I love that. And then, so Dean, where can people find you? Drop your Instagram, your podcast, all the things.
So my main Instagram's Dinos Mykonos. I'm not actually from Mykonos or Greek, but you know. Yeah, people always ask that. So like, my actual name is Dean Lucas, but I had a friend made an Instagram for me when I was like 13 or 14, and they made my name. I was like, what should my name be? And this friend would always call me Dinos Machinos. So my Instagram name was Dinos Machinos. And I just got, and then I had an actual ex-girlfriend that saw that, and then she decided to call me Dinos Mykonos. And I was like, that sounds better than Dinos Machinos. I feel like I grew out of my Dinos Machinos era. So I changed it to Dinos Mykonos. And then everyone's like, oh, are you from
Great. Yeah.
are you Greek or are you from there? And I was like, no, just an ex-girlfriend called me that.
It's just stuck.
It's just stuck. Yeah, it's just, I'm actually, my background's Hungarian, Bulgarian, English and German, I think. So nowhere, kind of near in a way. But I think it's funny. I changed it to Dean Lucas for a little bit. I just didn't have the same. I was like, we're going back to Vicar. But then people think it's my last name. Like,
I thought it was.
I went to a gym and the guy's like, oh, you're not on the list. And he's gone through the names. And I was like, I'm right there. And he's like, is your last name Mykonos? So like, no, Instagram's not real. Like, that's not it at all.
I mean, to be completely honest, this is like a little confession. When I went to introduce you, I'm like, Dean, like, I don't know.
I was like, I kind of felt that when you're like, Mr. Dean.
I literally, that's a fucking confession for me.
No.
All right. And I think anyone that really took a lot of value away from this episode particularly, should definitely go and check out Dean's podcast, D&Ms with Dean, because there's so many great. Is there a particular episode that you think people should go and listen to that you've done in the past about relationships that really stands out that you think a lot of people will take value from?
The one with Maddie McDermott, the one that I shared the audio with the TikTok, if you listen to that one's really good. I did one with Andy Cosgrove as well. That's a really good episode. Those two definitely stand out at the moment. So those ones are good. But just
go check it out.
You'll go through, you'll see the ones. There's one with I just one with a model over in Bali, the one with the sex educator, if you're like more into like relationships. And I say a lot of girls obviously listen to this, so those ones are probably one that more resonate with people.
Yeah. Perfect. And then if you have stuck around this far, love and appreciate you always. If you found value, please be sure to share this to your story. Tag me at Coach Kayla Williams or the Evolve to Thrive podcast. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
See you guys. Bye now.